things with Israel, and one of the things is probably a permanent deal with Iran.
And the president remains optimistic about reaching a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas.
I think we're close to a deal on Gaza. We could have it this week.
The latest Gaza ceasefire proposal submitted by mediators to Hamas outlines plans for a 60-day ceasefire. Greg Clugston, the White House.
President Trump has signed a disaster declaration for Texas after the deadly flooding over the weekend, and the urgent search for more of the missing continues following the holiday weekend deluge that left more than 80 people dead. Listeners who wish to help in the disaster rescue effort can make donations to www.salvationarmytexas.org. Public policy expert Matthew Continetti says he's amazed at President Trump's string of successes lately.
It's not even day 200. And yet he's been through, I think, in the past several weeks, one of the most extraordinary runs an American president has ever had, ever enjoyed. And so it leaves an observer like me kind of saying, what's next? I mean, there's still 3.5 years left in his term, and he's already achieved so much.
Continetti spoke with the Salem Radio Network. President Trump is throwing cold water on Elon Musk's newly announced political party. The president called it ridiculous for Musk to launch a new party. He told reporters it's always been a two-party system. Musk over the weekend announcing that he would form the America Party in response to his disappointments with the president's big, beautiful tax bill. On Wall Street, Dow futures down 19 points. NASDAQ futures down 100. This is townhall.com.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
I'm an artist, and I'm in my studio. I listen to the radio all day, and I'm hearing the ads about Relief Factor. And I've got pain in my neck, and it's getting worse. And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to go ahead and order this. 2 weeks later, I've got much better range of motion. If you're experiencing pain at a certain point in life, I would get Relief Factor.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to ReliefFactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
Are you over the age of 55 and want to secure your wealth with physical gold and silver? We are Advantage Gold, the #1 customer-rated gold company in America. We have been helping investors take their 401ks and retirement accounts and diversify them into physical precious metals like gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. Call us right now, 800-900-8000. Just call 800-900-8000 and claim your free gold investing starter kit. Also learn how you might qualify for up to $10,000 in free gold and silver. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Please consult your tax or financial advisor. Call us at 800-900-8000.
Correspondent Charles A. Ledesma reports an Australian woman named Erin Patterson has now been found guilty of murdering 3 of her estranged husband's relatives by deliberately serving them poisonous mushrooms for lunch.
Alice Patterson's defence barrister, Colin Mandy, leaves the court without making a comment on the verdict. A swarm of reporters are waiting outside.
Are you expecting to appeal?
The jury in the Supreme Court trial in Victoria State returned a verdict after 6 days of deliberations following a 9-week trial that gripped Australia. Patterson now faces life in prison and will be sentenced later, but a date for the hearing hasn't yet been scheduled. 3 of Patterson's 4 lunch guests that day, her parents-in-law Don and Gail Patterson and Gail's sister Heather Wilkinson, died in the hospital after the 2023 meal. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
You'll find breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. Economist Steve Moore says the tax cuts in President Trump's first term were hugely successful and jump-started the economy then. Now he says the big, beautiful bill makes those tax cuts permanent, and Democrats have been ignoring the economic data.
Now we have the evidence. It was good for the economy. It did help American families. It did help American businesses. We got record amounts of tax revenues. And yet now that even with the evidence that's in, they're still against it.
And Moore was interviewed by the Salem Radio Network. House Speaker Mike Johnson on Sunday said while the one big beautiful bill did pass after a lengthy, intense period, there will be even more reconciliation bills to follow in the coming months. Johnson said it's all part of the effort to, in his words, deliver that America First agenda that the people elected Congress to carry out. 8 members of the OPEC Plus alliance of oil exporting countries say they're going to boost production by 548,000 barrels a day. More of these stories at townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you,
Whatever scum did this, not one man on this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The demolition, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning, one and all. Welcome to Mornings with Mike Winters. I am he. That would be me, Mike Winters. Happy post July 4th, post UFO Festival weekend.
This
everybody.
was a long weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like 4 different weekends in one.
It was a crazy weekend.
There's a lot
busy,
going on.
Yeah, with the UFO Fest. Of course, then the flooding in Texas with the camp. And it's just like, man, what a crazy weekend going on here. It's just nuts.
It hit from several different directions. And it's weird. I mean, and it feels like this usually post-festival most, years in Roswell. But this year, it feels extra desolate out there this morning.
Yeah.
Like I just see random bits of trash. I think
Roswell's on a little hangover from the weekend.
It was weird. Like I see, random cats around all the time. Very rarely do you just see a pack of dogs. I was walking around the corner this morning and there was just a pack of dogs just walking across the bank parking lot. I'm like, this is something you don't see every day. One hopes.
But overall, good weekend.
Yeah, it was busy.
Festival was nice. Everything I checked out was pretty cool.
I've gotten no negative reports so far.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people had fun. Saw a ton of pictures. I didn't participate in foam parties and stuff like that, but looked pretty cool. All the stuff going on.
A lot of cool stuff to do.
Jocelyn's band, GDP, did great on Friday. We went down and checked them out.
Rocked it. I was actually out there taking some photos. I sent them over to Joss and I said, these are album cover worthy shots. There was one I got of her and the lead singer of GDP, Will, just jamming out like it was a 2-shot, but it was awesome.
They did. It was awesome. It was really cool. It was it's funny because we got there and they were still kind of setting up. God, that brings back memories. It's just like the band and the chords. Where's this one going? This ain't working. And they jerry rigged something to get going. I was like, man, I remember them days. Not that I was in a band. No. Suck. I have no musical ability whatsoever.
That's the thing is as the MC or just standing side stage. Yeah. I always was in a perpetual state of I'm sorry. Sorry. Let me just sorry. Sorry. I'm just in the way. Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Constantly in everybody's way.
Yeah.
And at the same time, kind of side eye and craft services. I wonder if I can hit that table.
Right.
But
ooh, they got chili cheese Fritos.
They got Cheetos and Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Are those handicaps? But yeah, no, I always felt in the way whenever I was side stage.
Yeah, and you go do your thing. But it was cool. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully folks got to go out and partake in the festival a little bit and got a chance. 4th of July was, I'll tell you, Friday night, I didn't really go do fireworks and stuff. I've seen drone shows and fireworks shows. I've had my fill over the last week or two here. And, but man, boy, howdy, we went hard in the paint, I think, this year.
Yeah.
Because I think from the time it got dark, about 9 o'clock.
You're talking about on the 4th?
Yes.
Okay.
Till about 11:30, it sounded like a steady barrage. I was like, wow.
Roswell sounded
I don't think it lit up.
It sounded a bit like a war zone.
Yeah.
And I know. By the way, big thanks and props to Jesse McDaniel. He put on
he does this
amazing show. I think a lot of that you heard came from his place.
It might have been because I'm technically as the crow flies, I'm not that far from his house.
Oh yeah. I learned new terminology this year.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know when you have one of those, like, giant, like, platforms of little, like, rockets. You know what they call that? That's a cake.
Oh, a cake.
Yeah. So, like, this was like a what do they call it? A 44,000 shot cake.
Yeah.
I was like, I like that. It's a cake. It sounds delightful versus the god-awful force of, like, nature that they actually are.
Well, yeah.
I saw some that were like, this isn't a firework. This is like an incendiary device.
Oh, they're getting big. Like I saw something online, of course, of some guy blowing something up in his hand.
Oh,
but it was literally an explosive. It wasn't even.
It is fun though, because this is the time of year that, and they do it every year. They break out the NT, what is it? The National Health and Safety Administration, the NHSA, that's what it is. They break out this helpful video every single year of fireworks safety. But so many mannequins lose so many parts in these videos. And it's so stupid. It's like, never look down the barrel of your... And it just shows this one mannequin, just a head, just looking down the barrel of an artillery shell and just taking it full in the face.
Yep.
One just blows the hand completely off. The mannequin... I mean, if I would imagine if the mannequin community got a hold of this, they would not be happy. Yeah. A lot of needless sacrifice happening.
Well, how do you think Mythbusters got shut down? The Mannequin Society shut them down after
many buddies
of those jelly guys.
Mm-hmm.
We lost so many jelly guys on that show.
So much ballistic gel.
Yeah. I would even argue that that they got their foothold in the 80s with those commercials for Don't Be a Test Dummy.
Oh, the crash test dummies, yeah. Dude, the crazy thing about that is, like, people people who are too young to remember, the crash test dummies was not only just a PSA.
Oh, yeah.
It expanded into a cartoon series.
They showed up at festivals and stuff.
An entire series of toys, which, by the way, those were the best toys because they had breakaway parts. So like when you would crash into something, the car would actually break and explode. But it was every single time they would always end their commercials and everything with their don't be a dummy,
right.
Buckle your safety belt.
Yeah.
So it kind of felt like I'm still being preached to, but in a really cool way.
It was a PSA marketing campaign. That was from the makers of the egg and drug thing, I think the same people did.
Well, it's just, what I would argue, the same people that brought us the California raisins.
Oh, yeah.
That
was a huge hit for a minute.
That was the California, was it grape and raisin board or something like that?
Big raisin, yeah.
Big raisin. Yeah, that was a huge deal. Matter of fact, I remember when I was a kid, I had these little rubber figurines. I don't know where we got them.
Yeah.
But they were the California raisins.
Yeah.
And like one held like a saxophone and then like one had a microphone.
I feel like one of the fast food joints were throwing them in like their Happy Meals or something.
Maybe.
I don't know if it was Mickey D's, but it was one of them.
I hit a core memory yesterday. I was looking for something completely different. And I stumbled upon, there's a brand of tea. I think it's Red Rose or Wade tea, one of those. And it comes in a wooden box. And this tea, every single box of tea had these little figurines in them that were like an owl, a sea turtle. There was just like a bunch of different like sets. There was like a circus set. There was an animal set. And and my mom collected these. Like she has a ton of them still. And I just randomly stumbled on a collection of them online. I'm like, oh, and I hadn't thought about these things in years. But they're just, it's such a weird thing when you tap into a core memory like that.
Are they affordable? Were they expensive?
For like a set, it was like $50. I'm not going to go buy them.
I was about to say, that'd be a cool gift for mom.
Yeah, for like
a nostalgic thing. Yeah. I don't know if she listens, but don't pay attention.
It's one of those that's like, you put it in a box in the back of your brain. You don't think about it for years and years and years. And then you see it in the wild and it's just like, whoa, I forgot that I forgot that.
Right,
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I occasionally run across things like that, products or whatever. Like I remember now it's popular and all over the place, but I remember about 8-10 years ago, they started busting out the toy Evel Knievel toy on Facebook, and I was like, oh my God, I had one of those. And now I see them all the time, and people, because they're one of the few toys that did what it said it did.
Yeah.
Like that, like Evil took off. That thing would jump.
It was
now,
a
don't get me
stunt
wrong.
cycle.
As a little kid, I got too excited and he crashed more than he jumped. But but under the right tutelage, you can do that thing.
Well, it's the same thing with zip cars back in the day. Remember those things with the zip line? You'd pull it, and the car would just. I mean, I injured so many children with those things because when you get mad enough, you rip that cord hard enough. That thing is. I mean, it travels at bullet speed. It can.
It can move. Yeah, it's kind of like those the water rockets.
Mm-hmm.
I took out some people with those things. They break like that was my problem. Was I'd launch it once and pray it land in the grass and not in the pavement.
Right.
Because if it landed in the pavement, that was all she wrote. With the rocket was now cracked at best.
Oh yeah.
Thank God you can get them for like $2 at the liquor store. So I had a fast supply of them.
All the best toys came from the liquor store.
Between those and those balsa wood airplanes.
The army men with the parachutes.
The army men with the parachutes. Yep.
Which I was so mad when I got those when I was a kid. Nobody told me you had to like undo the rubber band. I just thought it did automatically or whatever. So I was like, these don't even work.
We played with them steady in the house because that at the time we lived in a house that it had split level.
Mm-hmm.
So when you came in the house, there was the living room, but right to your left there were steps that could go down into the basement or steps that go upstairs to the second floor.
Okay.
But that drop between, so it literally went from the second floor down to the basement.
Oh,
so it was
wow.
like 2+ stories there, 2.5 or 3 stories of. So you could literally get a good opening.
Oh yeah.
From the top of the stairs down to the.
Try to see how many levels down you
the
could
basement floor. Yeah, that was kind of because half the time we go out in the front yard with them, we end up throwing it and we'd throw it off kilter and end up on the roof. So we'd usually did it indoors.
Yeah, kids don't usually have accurate throws. We're very back when
I'll remember I had a friend of mine that had he started doing rockets like the legit those ones with those C and D batteries that you had to build and all that, and he was doing that and he built a space shuttle one. This was totally ironic, not intentional. And this was not. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't. Year or two after Challenger.
I was gonna say, was it the summer of '80s?
Yeah, it was around that time.
Ooh.
And kids being kids, there was room and they had like in that space shuttle. So we ended up not putting those big, but we took our own actual army men, like little green, and and stuck a few in there, thinking it was, and we accidentally recreated the Challenger explosion. On that one, there was flaming green men falling down. The parachute came out, but it was on fire. It was coming down. Yeah, that did not end.
The humanity.
Yeah, it was.
Brokaw was live on site.
But we were just like, wow, that was not intentional. We just wanted to see what happens when you put army men in the space shuttle.
Here's a fun fact about the Challenger.
Yeah.
Big Bird was supposed to be on that flight. They couldn't figure out how to work out like a helmet situation, so it didn't happen. And I think actually Christy McCullough took his place on the
Were
flight.
they going to put like a dude in the Big Bird outfit and then put him in a spacesuit?
It was a whole thing that Big Bird was going to go into space. But
that sounds ridiculous.
Could you imagine? Let's play that scenario out.
Yeah.
Kids were they had wheeled TVs into the classroom so we could all watch the Challenger.
I saw it on TV, in the classroom.
Now, let's put Big Bird in there.
Oh yeah.
You want to talk about how traumatized kids would be?
Yeah. I'm just like the logistics of actually having a dude in a Big Bird suit, but his spacesuit isn't for him. It's for Big Bird's costume.
Well, that's just it.
Does it function the same?
That's just it. He would, I would imagine, have to have a spacesuit inside of the Big Bird suit, and then you'd want to put a spacesuit on the Big Bird.
Right.
So that's very cumbersome. I mean, I imagine these capsules aren't exactly, like spacious.
Like, how does Muppet do in space? Like, I mean, the Muppet material.
The material, yeah. Does it disintegrate? Does it burn up on reentry? So many questions.
I just had a state skit rebird in my head. There was one of their bits. This meat is delicious. What is it? It's Muppet.
It's Muppet.
They're eating Muppet. You ready for dessert? What are we having? I don't know. What comes after A, B, C, and then D? Dessert's ready.
You're thick.
We're having Muppet.
We're having Muppet.
The steak. It's a classy show. I love this thing. All right, it's 20 after. We need to get going. We're going to replay an interview with Travis County Manager Bill Williams here from last Friday here in just a bit. In the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to replay our interview with John and Crystal Noble from Roswell Seed. They joined us last week. And then John Thosen with the 4-H the Chaves County Extension 4-H, the youth shooting sports. They're going to join us here, give us an update in the 9 o'clock hour. But first, your weather. Do have rain chances today, but warmer, less chances of rain this week.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. Looks like low to mid 90s for us today. We will have some sunshine, just a very slight chance of an afternoon shower or thunderstorm. Could get a shower this evening, cloudy overnight, and we'll drop to about 70. Lots of sunshine across the area on Tuesday, low to mid 90s. A shower possible Tuesday night, and then sunny and hot on Wednesday and Thursday, near 100. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently 73 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity's at 74% with southeast winds at 6 miles per hour. We do have a 20% chance for afternoon showers and thunderstorms today. Otherwise, sunny, hot, 95 for a high today. Southeast winds 5 to 10. I know Steve was mentioning some rain chances. I'm not seeing any for after today until around Friday, maybe. But tonight, 71 under mostly clear skies. Sunny and 96 tomorrow. South winds 5 to 10. Sunny and 96 for Wednesday. Sunny and 101 on Thursday. Friday, sunny, hot, 101. And then Friday night, Saturday night, we're looking at 20-30% chances of rain with highs in the mid-90s for the weekend there. That's what they're saying at the moment. All right, 7:21. No livestock report for today. They've got because of the 4th of July weekend, they're taking the week off. They'll be back at it next week. So quick commercial break, and then we're going to play our interview with Chaves County Manager Bill Williams. Don't go away.
Listen, fellas, I'm about to give you the skinny. Are you tired of not having anything fun to do to celebrate the new year with your gal? Well, here's the scoop. Friday, December 29th, the Liberty is hosting an evening of dinner and a show called Radio Razzle Dazzle. The show is set on New Year's Eve 1940 in a radio studio where you get to watch a live radio play being performed. However, the scripts are missing and the cast and crew have passed out or eloped and the sound effects machine is broken. So you get to watch
In a medical emergency, every second counts. Artesia General Hospital's emergency department is open 24/7, staffed with highly trained professionals ready to provide life-saving care when you need it most. Don't wait. When minutes matter, trust Artesia General Hospital. Quality emergency care close to home. Learn more at artesiageneral.com.
Country music legend Mo Bandy has come a long way from his bull riding days in Texas. The Texas singer with twin fiddles and a steel guitar in the band will be at the Spencer Theater on July 18th. Tickets start at $66 and can be purchased online at spencertheater.com or by calling the box office at 575-336-4800. We'll see you at the Spencer.
At Richland Motors, it's never been easier to sell or trade your current car, truck, or SUV for a newer model to hit the road in. Even if you don't purchase from Richland, they want to buy your vehicle for top dollar. But if you do buy from Richland, don't forget, they're the home of the powertrain warranty for life. That's a whole lot of confidence for you. See Richland for details. 2nd and Sycamore and 1309 Southeast Main.
So I make a silly joke about it never raining, and now it seems like it'll never quit. Hi, this is Ben Manette from Roswell Seed Company. All this rain is great, but soon the weeds will be waist high and the bugs will be as thick as flies. But here at Roswell Seed, we have just what you need to control the weeds and fend off the bugs before they take over. So come see us at Roswell Seed, and be careful what you joke about. Mother Nature sure has a wicked sense of humor.
The average American spends 2.5 days a year looking for lost items. We aren't sure how long Europeans and Asians look for lost stuff. We lost the list. Here's Mike Winters.
In studio this morning, Chaves County Manager Bill Williams back with us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I thought you used your bacon to get over your addiction to stuffed ham.
That's right.
That's...
It's actually pretty good. I mean, I know people like kale and ham, but I forgot all about it. But I remember as a kid enjoying it and liking it. And yeah, it was all right. So,
well, as you were talking about, I started thinking about that. Was it ham loaf or something that they have in squares at the grocery store, and the one that nobody buys.
Yeah,
I can't remember what that one's called.
Well, as a rule of thumb, I generally stay away from meat products that are called loaf. That's just that's just my general rule of thumb. So I mean, I'll eat meatloaf, but I'm not going to the deli and getting an olive loaf or pea loaf or
stuff floating around in the middle of your sausage.
Clown loaf.
Not good.
But of course, county met a little later this month because of this is every June, isn't it?
Almost every June.
Yeah.
Association of Counties usually meets the third week in June, and so we have to adjust our schedule. We thought that we weren't going to have to this year, and we did. That's why some people didn't get it on their calendars. Nobody close here, but we changed.
I just always do third week.
We changed it after the fact. We in January approved the meeting dates for all the meetings, and that particular one came back up in March or April. I don't remember. So, whoa, this isn't going to work. So we did that. And next month's meeting will also be the 4th.
Okay.
And that's because in July, we usually wait that extra week to have the commission meeting. It gives the finance department a little bit longer to close out the books and give the actual numbers for the final budget.
For folks that don't have their heads in the business world, July is the start of the fiscal year.
Yes, it's the start of our new fiscal year, and our interim budget is approved. I mean, it's essentially our budget, but it can't be the final budget until they know exactly how much money was not spent and the numbers are balanced.
So for a couple weeks there, you're playing on house money for a little bit, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Until people sign some stuff.
So anyway, we've got that coming up, and it's looking good. Our auditors have started again for this year. We've finished an audit, we started an audit, and we have some really tough auditors. They do forensic audits. I started to say florensic. I guess that's where they give you flowers before they give you the bad news. I don't know.
They give all your documents in edible bouquets.
but they do a deep dive on all of our stuff, and we have the same company. We got an extension for them to do it for one more year.
Okay.
Because of our FEMA transactions and our federal stuff. So rather than start with a new entity and have to get them up to speed.
Sure.
There's a lot of different reporting requirements.
Makes sense.
If you have a federal audit.
So let's not have any disasters or anything between now and then, so we can start fresh next.
So the Department of Finance Authority says, you can use them for one more year, and they are so good, but it makes everybody shake in their boots because it's like, oh my gosh, these guys are looking at things, and I hope they don't find anything wrong. And it's in processes that they look for. They look for opportunities for people to do the wrong thing.
Gotcha.
And we make sure that we have checks and balances built in within the entire organization, within all of our processes to make sure that nothing can go awry. And man, they have got devious minds. They know where to look.
Well, and that's
they have probably found it in other places.
And that's a good thing. Yeah, I'm about to say it's
probably
based on what they've seen in other entities and municipalities and things. And,
right.
And unfortunately, this is one of those things that, humanity, most of us are doing the right thing. It's that minor percentage that always are conniving and working and figuring out a way that, it's the same. And it doesn't matter if it's finance or anything else. For every mousetrap you build, there's someone else building a way to escape it. That's just the way there is.
I always say the reason we have so much red tape is because somebody somewhere figured out a way to lie, cheat, or steal and so they had to throw a rule in there. Don't do this because this could happen.
Yeah.
And 99.99% of people wouldn't do it or wouldn't try it.
Wouldn't even enter their brain.
But they have to put a rule there because some fool somewhere decided they were going to do it.
Everyone finds the loopholes and everything else, so the way to find the chink in the armor, so to speak.
We had a fairly condensed meeting agenda yesterday. We had 13 items that had to do with DWI, all the agreements and everything, so it looks pretty big on paper. But you
can knock it out in one pen stroke, a lot of this stuff.
Right. There were 13 things there, and they went over what each one of them was and who it was. But then they approved them in one kind of fell swoop.
Gotcha. So you got to really lay it on the table so everyone understands it, but we can vote it all on one kind of deal
right,
here.
Because they're all the same thing. And, of course, our chairman recuses himself because his wife works a lot with the DWI programs. She puts on the every 15 minutes in the schools and the project
She does an amazing job with all that, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. That program has just gone and done better.
Well, when they just did the every 15 minutes and I got a chance to interview the family, that was all Diane making that stuff happen. Right. She's awesome at that job. Yeah.
So as compact, if you want to call it, the agenda was, it still took us a long time. We were there till almost noon yesterday. So
a lot of reading.
Oh my gosh. I don't know where the disconnect was, but I'm sure it had to do with me being too talkative. So
you think about all that ham and
exactly. So the first thing we did is we opened up with a change order, a couple of change orders for the Pecos Valley Regional Communication Center. You know, we're building a new facility for them down the hall in what used to be called Area D. It was an ad alternate when they built the county building, so it's a pretty large space, and they built it that way, vacant, so that they could put the courts there when they remodeled the downtown courthouse.
Gotcha.
They didn't put bathrooms in it, unfortunately. They brought portable bathrooms. The judges were there. They had their offices over in another building that we own close by, and they'd take golf carts back and forth while they were doing courts, while they were remodeling the downtown courthouse. About 20 years ago, many people were here and remember the disarray downtown during that time. It was quite a project, you know, to renovate the historic courthouse and do the additions that we see today on the backside over on Virginia Street.
I wonder if they saved up, like, all right, we got room for one more on the golf cart before we head to the bathroom.
Maybe so. So we took Area D. It didn't have any bathrooms or anything. It was for quite a few years after the judges moved out, after they moved back downtown to the courthouse, it was a glorified storage area.
Gotcha.
You know, everybody had their stuff that they didn't have a place to keep in their office.
It was the catch-all for everything else.
Christmas tree that we put in the lobby there at the county building. You know, lots of stuff. Of course, the voting machines are stored there too, but you know that's pretty important stuff. They have to be under lock and key.
How about to say,
no
yeah,
one
you don't.
Can get close
those
to those.
Can't be tampered with.
The other part was kind of more open storage, and people might have it in a little room, but I mean, it wasn't secure like the voting stuff is. So we said, well, in order to utilize this, we really need to add a new entrance. We do have a plan to renovate the parking lot and connect it to the other parking lots. We've not done that yet. But we put a new entrance and we put large public bathrooms in there. And the voting still happens there. It's essentially become their county voting place. And it had been for a while. But now instead of parking and going around the end of the building,
you can go down
through the doors. There's an actual front opening that looks like you're welcome there, and you're not having to sneak past the dumpsters to get in.
Well, you can still go the other way, but it's kind of lost its sea of high walls.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Bring your mountain bike and your hiking boots if you're going to go that direction.
Then one hallway starts looking like the other hallway. I was like, I'm just trying to vote.
I went all the way down there, and I stepped out, and it was outside the building, so I came back. Now where do I go? Well, you walk all the way back down there, go outside of the building, then go back in the building.
I went through this one door, and the guy's serving fish sandwiches. I didn't know what was going on.
So we've been looking for a while at what was the best way to utilize that portion of the county building. And so we added the bathrooms, we added the new entrance, we've made sure that the voting stuff is secure, and we've added a new dispatch area.
Gotcha.
The dispatch area is at the sheriff's office currently. It's pretty small. It's like 900 square feet for all the people that work there, all the consoles. They have huge consoles. I'm sure you've been in there.
Oh, I've walked through there, yeah.
You know, they've got pictures of everything going, and
but it is also because there's a lot of glass and stuff too, and so they're kind of like on display a lot when you walk in and stuff too.
Right.
And
so
yeah, it's probably not the most ideal spot for them.
Well, we gave a lot of discussion, or had a lot of discussions with them, and tried to figure out what was the best way to do it. And when we did the design, we brought them in and asked them to tell us, what would you like to see here? What would you like to see here? One thing we found is there's really not a good meeting room if we need like an incident command. So a lot of times they'll meet in the sheriff's training room. You know, like when we had the floods and stuff, they met there. But we need a place where everyone can sit around the same table. During floods, well, I'll call so
you can have a powwow here.
So-and-so. Well, so-and-so's over at the fire department, and it's kind of a disconnect. So now there's a large conference room built into this dispatch area so that they can go directly out of dispatch. They can meet with the people that are going to be contacting them, and dispatch, of course, organizes and keeps things moving on the ground.
Because pretty much the space they have now is just and it kind of looks like a mission control type, I mean, not quite, but if you went and saw NASA's mission, like it has a feel of that because it's, you know, a lot of screens,
there's so much packed in.
But but it's really, you know, little cubicles, it's not like you said, a room where 10 people could get in there and talk.
And the new space is much larger. I think they have room in there for 9 consoles. I think that's correct. I think there's room for a couple of extras, but it's more than they have. I think that the room itself, where the actual dispatchers sit, is 3 times the size of the old place.
Oh, great.
Plus, they have other offices down. There's a couple of offices in the current dispatch, but they're kind of like just off on the side. Like,
Sure.
Well, there was a space there, so
We
let's
just
throw a
crowbarred
couple
some
walls,
offices, yeah.
and they're tiny, so there's barely room for a desk and the computer, and then whoever's in there trying to work. And
Right.
Dispatch is right outside, and you can't really detach yourself if you're trying to have a phone call and dispatch is going on. I don't know how they accomplish it, but
A lot of
the new
noise.
space, they have offices down the hall. They have access to the big conference room.
So they kind of have their own little wing now.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's isolated from where the voting takes place because we, of course, have to assure the safety of voting and protect the voting machines and all that. So,
and not to mention, I'm pretty sure you don't want to hear what's going on in the dispatch office out in the voting area too, depending on some of the nature of some of the calls they take.
And you know, they will have their secure parking. One of the things currently at dispatch is, you know, they're right out there by themselves at night, people coming in, changing shifts, and so they will have a secure gated area where they can park.
So they can have a little more protection for
the
themselves.
warrants and things. If an officer comes to get a warrant, instead of someone going outside and handing it to them physically, it'll have a tube like they have at the bank. So you can shoot it over there, take it out of the tube, send the tube back, kind of thing. So we're really excited to see all that happen. But we had 2 or 3 minor change orders on that. Nothing real significant, but just things that came up throughout the process.
Like, wouldn't it be cool if we had this? Yeah.
Was adding, well, it wasn't so much it would be cool if we had this, but things that we recognized during the construction. We didn't think about that.
Gotcha.
For instance, isolating the voting machines a little bit better. You know, they're behind a locked door, but we said, but still, you've got people here 24 hours a day. And I'm not saying that
we don't want to tempt fate.
Yeah, you know, people coming and going. We need that area to have walls on both ends so that it can be alarmed and everything like it currently is, so that we instantly know if someone's in there.
Sure.
Whereas if you turn the alarms off so everybody can come and go, that doesn't work so well.
Right. And in theory, it's a weakness in the protection there.
Right. And it's kind of like what I was talking about with the financial audits. You know, we look for weaknesses in our processes and all, and we identified that during the building process.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, this isn't quite what we had in mind. We want to be sure that we maintain.
You think about it, it's like, 90% of the time we won't have a problem, but that one time there will be the problem,
Right.
and that's what we got to be ready for.
And you know, we're very fortunate. We have a county clerk's office, and they take voter integrity and their job very, very seriously. I guess there's places in our nation and our world that don't
A little
take
more
it as seriously.
lackadaisical about it. Yeah.
But I guarantee you, our county clerk Cindy and her staff, they don't mess around.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Well, they get what they're entrusted with. You know what I mean?
They take it very seriously,
Yep.
and they do a wonderful job, a great job there.
And they take it seriously, and that's why. And this is, I don't want to get down. This is why I kind of think, you know, when certain positions like county clerk, I'm like, I get it why it's an electable position, but not any willy-nilly person can just roll up and decide to be clerk one day, is what I'm saying. You got it. It's a skilled position that requires lots of training, lots of expertise, and I'm sorry, that's just not a voted in the public person type position to me.
You know, I've been at the county for 10 years, and a lot of the staff at the clerk's office, the same staff that had been there when I started.
Yeah.
And they have been doing nothing but studying. I mean, they're constantly studying. They're constantly learning new things about elections. This is a great segue because I didn't mean to segue from PVRCC to elections, but we have some resolutions that had to do with elections. So
Excellent.
We had a resolution changing 3 polling places and adding 2 monitored security containers for the 2025 general election. So first, the new polling places. So one of the places we switched to recently was we were having a voting area at the museum downtown.
Yes.
Of course, we had a flood.
That's not available. Yeah.
But before the flood, they were renovating. So we switched from there over to the Civic Center.
Gotcha.
And
That's
everything
not.
was good. It's no longer
But
good.
now,
So that space is no longer available. So they went with St. Andrew's Church. I believe is where they went. The other 2 places were changes from schools where they had done them. So we have 2 new schools that are perfectly accessible with ADA. And, you know, it's one of the things, again, that the clerk is very concerned about, is assuring that everybody, regardless of your...
And the district's pretty much done every school now. So they're all...
regardless of your physical ability, you know, they want to be sure you can get in.
Anybody can get to where they
vote.
need to, yeah.
And so they changed from Sierra Middle School to El Cap.
Okay.
And they changed to the new Del Norte School.
Very good.
So that they would have more accessibility.
So-
It is their main purpose for
So if you-
changing those voting places.
So if next election, if you wanted to, you don't have a reason to be in Del Norte normally, then you wanted to check out the new digs, go vote there.
Actually, I haven't been over there. I really would
haven't
like
either.
to go see that. That's
Yeah.
a neat looking school.
Yeah, I haven't either,
And,
so.
I live out in the country, and so every time I drive past the new Nancy Lopez, it's starting to really show, and I'm kind of anxious to see it.
But
as
unless you
well.
got kids or anything in there, you really have no need or
Yeah.
business to be hanging out
No
in those
need or-
places.
Yeah, kinda run
and
you
usually
off.
frown upon you doing that. So,
but the clerk, they identified these new spots and asked that they be approved. Now, the 2 monitored secure containers, those are drop boxes.
Okay.
That came from the New Mexico Secretary of State. So everybody's going to have 2 drop boxes.
Okay.
And
Whether you want them or not.
whether you want them or not, whether you think that's safe, there's all kinds of issues. And it was mandated.
Yeah.
And Cindy Fuller, our clerk, she went back and forth with the Secretary of State on many of the factors involved with this. Ultimately, they put 1 monitored secure drop box container at the early voting place there in what we used to call Area D at the county.
Gotcha.
The other one is in the parking lot on Virginia Street across from the courthouse. So
Okay.
there's a pole near the alley.
Okay.
You'll see there's a big box on the top, and that's because they have to provide internet access and 24-hour cameras
Okay.
on our tax.
So is it adjacent
dime.
to the parking lot there across from the courthouse?
Yes.
And that
Yes.
one of those poles out
Yeah.
there? Gotcha.
So on the north end of that parking lot on the east side, there's
Coming out to UFO Festival this weekend. Be on the lookout for it.
yeah, there's a big box at the top, and that's because they have to provide cameras and internet
Gotcha.
and all that stuff for it all the time. And when they're not in use, they have to padlock them shut so no one can throw their garbage in there.
Sure, use them for...
And then when they are in use, they can only be in use certain times. And they
Certain-
have to check them every 3 days to remove anything that's in there.
Okay.
So there's a whole bunch of rules and regulations, but those were done. The other thing was we designated the polling places, all of the polling places for the 25 or 26 primary and general elections, the 27 regular local elections. So
Gotcha.
they approved that. And then the appointment to the Chaves County Board of Registration, which also has to do with voting. Let's see if I can remember all 5 individuals. Dave Kunko,
former clerk.
former county clerk.
Yeah.
He's a wealth of knowledge for them.
Absolutely.
Sarah MacArthur, Rita Kane, gentleman by the name of Johnson. I can't remember his first name. It's not Daryl. And the other one is Mrs. Helms.
Okay.
So that's the 5, and so
Nice.
those were all approved as well. So
very good.
So voting is. Look at this. We're planning for the 2027 regular local election. That's how far out they have to plan things. That's how far out they have to assure that things are done and done right.
Yeah.
And again, like I say, that they're constantly monitoring security. Those machines are always under lock and key. When I ran the facilities at the place, I had a key. I could get in there. I never went in there without calling the clerk and asking because they had to disable the alarm. I did not have the alarm code.
It's kind of like
even though it was a county building.
It's like the nukes. You got to have a 2-person system to get into this
Right.
deal. Yeah.
And they really take it very seriously, and they do a great job with that. So
that's and that's why we were very appreciative of why the clerk. We say it for years, and whether it was Dave or Cindy, whoever is filling that role, they always do amazing jobs. Every time we talk to them, the amount of work they get. That's why I keep saying about the last that's a skilled position. That's not an elected. Not anybody can just roll in and do that job.
Well, and it's not just the elected clerk, but you've got Stephanie and you've got Casey that both work really hard. They're very well trained, highly trained to do that job, and they just really knock it out of the park.
Absolutely.
The team is just really, really great.
Absolutely.
I'm going to move on to the top 10 priority projects for the ICIP, the
Okay.
Infrastructure Capital
It is that
Improvement
time
Plan.
of year to
Yes.
get the list in order, right?
So we start working on that, probably about March of every year. Every department is told, what are your projects? What do you want to do for 2027 to 2031? It's a 5-year plan. So this particular one that they just approved yesterday would be the 27 to 31 plan.
Gotcha.
Any projects over $60,000 that we would like to do that we present those to the legislators. We look for funding sources, those kind of things.
And if correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember, but you sequentially put it in terms of importance, right? Like
yes,
the most important thing's number 1, the least important's number 10.
Right, on each year,
yes.
It goes that way. So if you have a project, you say, well, I think in 27 we need to start this kind of a project. In 28, because that one's going to be done, we need, or 29,
Gotcha.
Then we'll want to do this because they complement each other. So there's a lot of planning goes into place.
Gotcha.
And it's every department, whether it's facility maintenance, whether it's public services, whether it's the road department. Did I mention them already? Anyway, whoever it is,
right?
They all have their own plans, and they send them in, and we have to sift through them and prioritize. They prioritize them on their basis, but then we go through and we say, okay, what are our top 10 priorities for next year? Because those are the ones we're going to aggressively seek funding and stuff for.
Hopefully the legislature has.
Yeah, and we're pretty fortunate. They usually tell us to present 3 to 5 items, and they only have limited amounts of money, our local legislators, and so they try to make that go as far as possible, and they ask us to be considerate and not bring them a $6 million project.
Sure.
And we need to find other funding.
It's like work with us and we'll work with you kind of thing.
But they do a great job. All of our legislators historically have just been there for us. They've been here for our county. They've been here for our local municipalities. They do a really good job of that.
And part of that thing too is getting this list right. It's they will fund things that seem like they are good projects to fund, but if you got people that are just shooting for the moon on this list and it's like, yeah, we want a spaceport and a train that goes here to that, they're just going to laugh at you.
Yeah, pork projects don't make this list on any level. So we take the main list, and then in-house we kind of assess, okay, what do we think should be the top 10 projects for this coming year? We don't expect the county commission to sift through every tiny project and say, well, this one, that one, it would take them hours.
That's
and
a lot
days.
of micromanaging.
And that's why they hire us.
That's
to
right.
do the
Here's the big bucks.
So we give them a list with all of the projects on it. So if a constituent has called them, say, hey, I'd really like this project to be, they can go in there and they can find it and say, hey, this project I think should be on the list. They can do that. So they have the entire list.
So if there's a popularity thing, they can pick and push it up higher.
Yeah, they could do that.
Gotcha.
And what we do in-house is we take that master list and we condense it down to what we believe should be the top 10, and we prioritize them in the top 10, and we give them that plus the master list. So it's an open book. We say, this is what we think, and often they'll say, well, I like number 8. I'd rather see you do number 8 than number 2, and there's some discussion or whatever, and they mix and match and move it around.
Gotcha.
So that we can get we accept the top 10 and we leave them in whatever order they prefer them to be.
Because at some point you're just thankful to get any of them funded.
Right. So we have 10 to choose from.
Right.
And then if before we go to the legislators, we find out, hey, there's a big pot of money for this type of thing, we might
bump up our priority.
Want to present number 6 rather than number 5.
Because the money's going that way.
Because the money may go that way.
Yeah.
So we have 10. We usually pick from the top 5 to pursue funding.
Gotcha.
And so this year's top 10. Are you ready?
Get our Dave Letterman list. And number 10.
The number 1 priority for this coming year is courthouse elevator number 6 replacement. That is one of the old elevators in the original part of the courthouse. We don't know if it's an original elevator or if it was installed in the 1930s.
It's
or
the
40s,
first elevator ever.
But it's certainly at least 70 years old.
Put this way.
Maybe older, and it's not unsafe. We're not worried about it dropping to the basement, which is not a huge drop, but it often will leave people stranded for a while. Door sensors and stuff don't work. We work on elevators constantly over there because there's a lot of maintenance issues with them and maintenance requirements. Not issues so much, but requirements.
And I'm going to take a stab, too, that older elevators are probably harder to service, repair, replace parts for.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's probably more cost efficient at the end of the day to just swap it out for a new one, where it can be serviced much more easily than that 70-year-old elevator is.
So, I'm not very good with my phone. I messed it up there. I did get it back, though. So the elevator is one thing, and I did mention to Stan Riggs is our attorney, and just before Stan Riggs left for Albuquerque, his wife, of course, was a district judge, and his mother-in-law came to visit. She was at the courthouse one day, and one of my biggest memories is Judge Riggs and her mother were stranded in the elevator at the courthouse.
They got the tour.
for about 45 minutes.
Ooh.
And Stan was the manager, and oh my gosh, we didn't need that to happen. We really
think he got an
needed
earful that night.
Oh my gosh, poor Stan. I still think about it. So, but anyway, the courthouse elevator is truly a need, and we get by with what we can as long as we can, but we've got to at some point.
Of course, that could be
replace.
alternative sentencing.
Yes.
You got six tries in the old elevator.
You got six rides in the elevator. Good luck.
That's right.
If you've been to the Chaves County building recently, you've noticed that the trees have all gotten big. They started out pretty small trees out in front of the Chaves County building, and they've all gotten pretty big. The concrete is starting to heave, so we've had to grind areas down on the concrete to keep people from tripping. We have a need to go in and redo all of the concrete and the landscaping out in front of the county building.
Good deal. So the trees aren't going, but the concrete might be moved around.
Well, we may have to put different trees. We may be able to save some of those trees.
I hope so.
It's
always a bummer when you have to get rid of nice
it really
trees
is.
like that.
And those are really neat.
Yeah.
They flower, and it looks really nice.
Absolutely.
When they do.
And plus, they just put a great amount of shade on them.
And, of course, we're in a different era than we were when the courthouse was built. And people like to crash into public buildings and stuff with trucks and
We've had
whatever.
a truck or two drive up those steps.
Yes, let's not go there, Mike. Let's not go. Bad time. So we will probably design it with some sort of a protection bollard. The whole front of the building
Sure.
was glass, and if they were having a commission meeting, someone could do some harm.
And there's a lot of
potentially.
architective history. That dome very much, and God forbid if you hit enough down there, that comes. What comes down comes down. That does happen.
So the front of the entrance needs the improvement and needs some concrete work and stuff. One of the projects we've been working on, we worked on it pretty extensively last year, is the Roswell Refuge Shelter for Battered Adults. That building, several buildings kind of combined. I don't know how long the county's owned it, probably since the 1970s. And
they've put a lot of Band-Aids on that building.
They put
over
a
the years.
lot of Band-Aids, and it got to the point where we said, no, we've got to initiate some real
major renovations.
Systems. And last year, I think we got all the heating, cooling stuff done, some plumbing stuff done. But
do they lose? Do you have to basically kick everybody out to do that, or can they do that while they're still living?
So far we've been able to do everything kind of surgically.
Gotcha. But I imagine if there's some major work, at some point you're going to have to pull people out of there to do that.
So far I think the heating and cooling, we were able to. Their rooftop units mostly are split systems, so you can do that while people are there. The plumbing, we did have to keep people out of certain areas while they were doing some plumbing, and I think there's another round of plumbing may have to be done, which will be a little more difficult to work around. But a lot of it's just painting, replacing lights, new carpeting, new flooring,
updating, maintenance.
Exterior stuff, the not siding because it's stuccoed, but the trim and those sorts of things. They get forgotten when, especially an entity like that relies on donations.
Well, and every dime they get has bigger fish to fry with it. You know what I mean?
They do a really good
painting
job.
The baseboards is not necessarily high on the priority list.
They do a really good job of doing the job that they're supposed to do.
They're saving people's lives, and sometimes they ain't got time to make sure the pillows are fluffed.
So we're working with them, trying to assure that we get another good chunk of money to kind of get that building back in better condition, and that's huge. We need a fuel island. The Environment Department no longer likes above ground tanks, really, just the old metal fuel tank. And we have one left that's a metal fuel tank with a berm around it. That's not ideal. We do double containment tanks. So you have a concrete tank within another tank. We don't do any buried tanks anymore because those are highly regulated.
I'm about to say,
for good reason.
That's got its own list of problems and things. Yeah.
And our number 5 is Mountain View Road. We want to do some improvements on Mountain View Road. They're getting ready to build a new school there.
Okay.
And we thought, well, this would be an ideal time for us to go ahead and get the road in a condition that would handle the additional traffic going to a new school and, the bus lanes and all that stuff, get all that kind of.
Absolutely.
Well, we don't do the bus lanes. That's on their property. But the road leading
to get to the bus lanes,
we want to do that. And then to round out the top 10, we've got a cooling tower at the courthouse. Some of those maintenance things. We try to be proactive and not reactive to any large maintenance things. We had a roof last year was one of the big things that we asked for some assistance with because, roofs on large public buildings can get very, very expensive. And so
small ones, they get expensive.
So we asked for some help there. The administrative center down south, again, it's over 20 years old now. There is some cracks in the stucco, and we need to kind of take a look at that kind of stuff. Some cameras, again, at the detention facility, we're constantly upgrading, putting new cameras in. So security cameras there. If you've been to the detention center, Mike.
I was just there last week. I did a pinch it up. No, I'm just kidding.
So they didn't give you the elevator sentence. They actually gave you time.
Yeah, I did. Okay. I did time. Well, they put me in a room and made me tell jokes. It was weird.
So on the west side of the detention center is a big gravel parking lot. And some years back, we did pour concrete slabs, so there was handicap parking accessibility. But that's where people have to stop if they need to go in and interact with the administrative office. They used to have the visitation stuff there. Of course, they do all that.
I remember
by video
that. Yeah,
now. So that is just a big dirt parking lot, and it's never been improved. So we'd like to at some point improve that parking lot.
Good deal.
And it's pretty far down the list because it's probably not a huge priority. Well, it's not a huge priority, but it is something we need to get done.
So
it made it up this year. We'll see if we can find funding to do it.
That might be something you see in a couple of years down the road.
And then another road is McGaffey, West McGaffey Road pavement work. So we've got all those things.
Anytime you're talking pavement, I'm like, yes, please do that.
Please pavement. And since I have my phone open, because I have some notes on my phone, another thing that we did yesterday, we passed 2 separate resolutions pertaining to local agriculture, you might say. So one of them was a resolution supporting the incorporation of ivermectin into livestock and wildlife feeds.
Okay.
And the reason for that is we have what's called the New World screwworm fly. So it pretty much has been eradicated in the United States since 1966.
Okay.
And in big part due to the fact that in Panama, the United States built a sterile fly breeding facility. You may have heard earlier this week that one is going in San Antonio. So
that's a lot of different words put together. I never thought I'd be hearing put together before.
Exactly.
All right.
So they breed sterile male flies.
Okay.
And then when they go and wink at the female fly and things happen, nothing happens.
Whoa.
But it finishes their life cycle and they think that they're complete. So they don't actually lay screwworm eggs in wounds on wildlife cattle. I mean,
interesting.
The screwworm has been known to infest, wildlife, whether it's goats, deer,
It's
whatever,
a problem. Yeah.
cattle, even rare cases in humans, But so a typical blowfly, for instance, might go and if you branded, for instance, your cows, it might lay its eggs and the larvae are they're going to live subcutaneously in the skin. They're going to be right there on the surface. They don't do a lot of, pretty gross, but,
right?
But anyway, they don't really harm an animal.
Okay.
But a screwworm, when they lay their eggs, that thing burrows down into the actual muscle tissue.
Okay.
And
inside.
it cripples and kills.
Oh wow.
Kills the animals.
Okay.
And
we're out of time here, but
okay. So I'll do this really quick. So we passed a resolution requesting that the FDA allow the feed producers to add powdered ivermectin because they can. That way, as they're eating, it'll kill the flies.
And have your flies spayed or neutered today, as Bob Barker used to tell us.
That's funny. The last thing, I'll leave it at this. We also passed a resolution in support of Catron and Socorro County's wolf resolution.
Okay.
So the wolves have become a real hassle over there. Mexican wolves are increasingly habituated, aggressive, as evidenced by instances of them stalking children, roaming in and around communities, snatching pets from porches, killing horses and cattle, endangering the public safety of residents and visitors. And the reason they're aggressive and habituated is they've been bred, whelped, fed, tagged, transported, and doctored by human beings, and so they're not afraid of human beings.
Yeah.
And there's some real issues there. And we
I don't care how much they're protected. They come up on a bus stop, little kids, that thing's going down.
Yeah. They passed resolutions explaining the public safety issues that they're encountering in Catron. It's pretty serious stuff over in western New Mexico and Arizona that they needed to make it known. And so this is a resolution in support of that. And it's
Gotcha.
because those wolves are just getting used to people, and they really don't care. We're gonna do wolf stuff.
Yeah, they're supposed to be in the woods. We're supposed to be. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Thank you. I'm sorry I caused you to not pay the bills.
That's all right. We're good. But thank you very much. We always appreciate the visit, and we'll see you in the fourth week next month. Too,
yes.
Because of the shift there. So good deal.
If I see the sheriff.
Had a chance to visit Camp Mystic, the site where nearly 30 young girls were swept away by the Guadalupe River.
It was nothing short of horrific to see what those young children went through. And we will remain 100% dedicated, searching for every single one of the children who were at Camp Mystic, as well as anybody else in the entire riverbed, to make sure that they're going to be recovered.
The governor's comments airing on KVUE. Meanwhile, Greg Cluxton reports President Trump has signed a disaster declaration.
The president said the scenes from Central Texas are hard to watch.
It's a horrible thing that took place. Absolutely horrible.
He said his administration is working with officials in the state and that his heart goes out to those affected.
We say God bless all of the people that have gone through so much, and God bless the state of Texas.
The president said he'll probably visit the state on Friday. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Listeners who wish to help in the disaster rescue effort can make donations at www.salvationarmytexas.org. More floating border wall on the way to South Texas.
The head of Homeland Security signs a waiver allowing for the deployment of about 17 miles of buoys in the Rio Grande. The agency said in a statement that the waterborne barriers are intended to create a safer border environment for patrolling agents, as well as a deterrent for illegal immigrants attempting to illegally cross the river.
That is Tasha Stevens reporting. It's been slow going on Wall Street in early trading after a robust session to end last week. On Thursday, right now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down about 90 points. The NASDAQ is up by about 106. More from townhall.com.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher.
Here's an important message from the Diabetes Solution Center. Do you like pricking your fingers to test your blood sugar levels? No one does, but it's important to maintain your health. And now, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you don't need to prick your fingers anymore. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now. And if you have Medicare or most major insurance coverage, you may be able to get a new CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. Shipping is free, and we'll even bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now to learn how to end the painful finger sticks and get your own continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Announced his official resignation from Congress after voting for President Trump's mega bill.
Congressman Mark Green announced his official resignation from Congress on Friday, a move that was expected, but one that could, at least for now, shrink Republicans' already narrow majority in the House. With his resignation, Republicans are down to a 219 to 212 majority in the House, at least until his seat in the solidly red district is filled. His resignation will be effective July 20th. Green, who chairs the Homeland Security Committee, said he was returning to the private sector to start his own business, but did not provide details about that business. Green was elected to serve in Congress in 2018, succeeding Senator Marsha Blackburn. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
The U.S. is stepping up pressure on trading partners to quickly make some new deals before a Wednesday deadline when a tariff pause by President Trump is set to expire. There are plans for the U.S. to start sending out letters today warning countries about higher tariffs. Breaking news at townhall.com. Individuals and companies are pitching in to help the victims of the massive flooding in Texas.
U-Haul has expanded a relief offering in San Antonio to include its company centers in and around Austin, where flood victims needing a dry or secure place to stow belongings may do so. People can receive 30 days of free self-storage and U-Box services. A company spokesman says there are more than 36 U-Haul facilities that are participating in this goodwill offer. Jason Walker reporting.
And listeners wishing to help in the disaster rescue effort can do so with donations at www.salvationarmytexas.org. OPEC.org. 8 members of the OPEC Plus alliance of oil exporting countries say they'll be boosting production in August in a move that could further reduce gas prices. The group also includes Saudi Arabia and Russia. Breaking news at townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man on this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The travel said, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican world radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 8 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 2.
The deuce.
Of Mornings with Mike Winters, right here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM. Happy Monday.
Ah, yes.
It's a full week.
A little calm after the storm.
Yeah. You know, speaking of those storms in Texas, I mean, that's crazy what's going on there. But now, we didn't have anything to that level. But when I was late teens, early 20s, I worked at a Boy Scout summer camp. I worked there for the summers when I was, for like 4 or 5 years there.
Right.
But when I was 21, that year I was running their shooting sports program, the rifle range, the archery range, shotgun. So that was kind of my area. I was 21. I had to get certified. That's the reason why I remember.
Nice.
But so that camp would start, and it'd be a week-long camp for campers. We would be there about 10 weeks or something like that. And they do a staff week, like the early part of June, early mid-June, and then about the third, fourth week of June, campers would come till second week of August.
Right.
Like that. But anyway, that particular year, we were in staff week. And during staff week, you're setting up the camp, but you're also team building. And we're
doing the ropes course.
Yeah.
Climbing the wall.
I'm at the rifle range teaching my guys and setting up the rifle range and making sure building the perimeter, doing all that. Then part of it too is we're building the campsites and all that. But anyway,
calibrating your weapons and all that.
Yeah, stuff like that. So that week we're doing that, and then like mid of that week, a storm hits the camp. Now the camp is situated on what was a river, the Maury River, and they dammed up the river and built a man-made lake there, and it was Lake Meriwether. And on said camp was actually, it's one big scout reservation, but there's like 6 camps within the reservation. Like the camp I worked at was a Camp Olmsted, which we were a merit badge camp for the Boy Scouts, Boy Scout side of it. We had a dining hall. There was another camp that was the same thing, but the kids cooked in their campsites. There was another one where they get, anyway, there's different ones.
Right.
Ours had a dining hall. But anyway, a big storm hit, and it got to the point where it flooded the lake. The debris messed up the dam, and so we ended up getting flooded. But then, right after that, because the dam broke and it was stuck open, we lost the lake. It was basically down back to the river. So that whole summer, like that first week of camp, we didn't have, but I remember that night. Now, it wasn't nothing to what they're dealing with in Texas, but I remember dealing with the rain and the flooding and everything else, and just the debris in the river. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And now nowhere near what those folks in Texas are dealing with. We didn't lose, nobody died, nothing like that. But I remember it was crazy going through that storm, and and just that whole year of scout camp, because literally we lost the river or lost the lake, and so there was no really water sports for. I mean,
hey kids, want to go fish? Want to go swim?
But
anybody for a hike?
By the third or fourth week of camp, we could do some kind of a waterfront because we actually go to the river there and swim a little bit. There wasn't a whole lot of other activities out there, but I just remember that was a crazy summer, and it was. I remember we had like a big reservation-wide dinner at our camp because we had the dining hall, and so the whole Goshen reservation came out and would hang out that night. And then after that party was over, that's when the rains hit. Boy, howdy, it was a long night. It was crazy. But anyway, praying for everyone over there in Texas dealing with that stuff. I guess this happened. I was seeing something on X earlier. I guess was it 87? I think the same camp, same area, like had a major flood back then.
Really?
Yeah.
Camp Mystic?
Yeah, it was maybe a different name of the camp, but same area and all that. Back in like 87, and they were showing footage from then, and they were showing some of the interviews. I don't think anybody lost lives, that one. I don't think. But I remember just seeing the interviews of some of the kids and talking about how they were getting on the bus, and then the bus got swept away, and they're literally hanging onto branches in the river and all this other thing. It's crazy.
1987 floods in the Texas Hill Country, yeah.
Yeah. And so I was kind of, the way the thing I was looking at said, I don't know if it's, they said it's like the same area. It's like a church camp and everything else, just kind of.
The flood that began as a storm in Mexico and moved across the border, hitting western Kerr County, same county, and dumping rain into the upper part of the Guadalupe. The 1987 flood also had hit a summer camp, killing 10 teenagers at the Pot of Gold Christian Camp near Comfort, Texas.
So they did have loss of life,
according to local media.
Okay, so I mean, it kind of history repeating itself a little bit there. It's kind of crazy, but praying for everyone there, and hopefully the ones that are missing, they are able to locate.
Absolutely.
That's that's, I mean, what are you gonna do? It's crazy. It's like summer camp. You think about the fun, but to be honest, that's like the worst. You know, that's the biggest fear. What happens if it's a flood? If it's a fire? One of the two. You know, and this one was flooding. So, and based off being up in those camps, you're in the wilderness.
Yeah,
you're not near. Cell phone signals aren't even a thing there. True. I know. I mean, granted, I went back before cell phones were a thing, but I know even to this day, if you go to that camp, they're up in the Blue Ridge Mountains. There's no way they got.
Right.
I'm sure those Kerr County there and by the river and all that, very rural too. I'm sure it's probably similar. But anyway, it's crazy.
It's tough to see. Absolutely.
But I hope everyone had a good UFO festival weekend and enjoyed all that. That was a lot of fun. Drone show was pretty cool. On Thursday
was good. I couldn't help myself but make the joke on Facebook just because it looked like maybe we were missing one or two of the drones. So I stand stakong with Roswell.
Sometimes a drone do what a drone
That's
do.
right. Sometimes it's going to fly off and do its own thing.
I'm sure there's like those same moments in marching band. Where's the one guy pings a left and spin a right?
Yep. Holes in formations. That was the thing we absolutely dealt with when I was in marching band.
Yeah, sometimes the drone does it too. Computers.
When you're trying to pull off a specific visual, you need your entire low brass section.
Yeah.
Steven. Steve.
Now we turn our attention to fairs.
Yes.
Now we got, Chavis County fairs around the corner, all of that. Eddy County fairs, all those fairs will be coming up in the next couple weeks here. So, and then back to school, kids.
Yeah.
Then we're talking football. It's all just the circle continues.
Yeah. My kid's mom said something to me yesterday, just sent a chill down my spine. She's like, we have to do back to school shopping soon, right? I'm like,
yeah, like a couple weeks. Kids, I hate to warn you, but a couple weeks.
Just weird.
You go back to school in the month of July this year, don't you?
I think it's right at the beginning.
August 1st?
August 1st,
okay.
yeah.
So same thing. You're
pretty
like 3
much.
weeks away.
Yeah. Yeah, that was always the thing for me growing up, too, is I was on the cusp. Like, you have to be a certain age before the school year starts in order to be in that grade.
Right.
And because my birthday is August 7th, I was always like right on the edge, but I usually made it by a couple weeks. Now, I'm a week late. I'd be a grade lower if I was in school today.
See? You're younger.
If I was in school today, though, something wrong, because I'm 40. Finna be 40. Go.
Class of 25, baby. By the way, speaking of birthdays, happy birthday to one Thomas Beard.
T-Beard.
Our sales manager today celebrating a birthday on July the 7th.
Better not show up. I will spank him. I am one to whack.
Happy birthday to Thomas.
Yes.
You know him, see him out in the boot. Give him a attaboy.
Now, if you're looking for something for Thomas for his birthday, don't. He already bought it himself.
He's got the craziest Amazon shopping list known to man. Yes.
What do you buy? What do you buy for the man who has weirdly everything?
You know what though? He likes food in bulk.
Mm-hmm.
So 10-pound bags of onions, potatoes, things like this. He loves that stuff.
stuff that really keeps. You know.
He lives by himself, but he loves bulk, food in bulk.
Yeah.
Cotton candy grapes.
Oh, dude! Actually, I saw these. I watched this guy on YouTube called The Deal Guy, and he's real handy around Black Friday because he runs down all the deals at all the different stores. But, in the off season, things get a little quiet. But he was doing the top 10 finds at Sam's Club.
Yeah.
They got these shrimp skewers that are like $12.
Sounds good.
I'm telling you, dude. Go get Thomas some shrimp skewers. Throw down a couple bucks and get him some shrimp skewers for his birthday.
Yeah.
Then stare at him and say nothing until he opens the package and prepares one for you.
That's right. It's like you bring the bottle of liquor.
Yeah.
You're going to open that, right?
You're going to crack that open? Let's celebrate a little bit. Mm-hmm.
You're going to give me a skewer. Shrimp skewer. All right. Let me give you the rundown for this hour of the show. We're going to get you up to date with the weather here in just a bit. We do have like a slight rain chance today, but mostly summery.
Sorry.
Upper 90s. I think we get 100 one of these days this week, or two. But, going to be one of them weeks. And then we're going to play our interview we had with John and Crystal Noble wearing the Roswell Seed hat. They joined us last week. We'll play that for you here in just a bit. Later on, we'll get you up to date with news and all that good stuff and whatever else we can come up with for this hour of the show. But first, let's take a gander at your weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. Looks like low to mid 90s for us today. We will have some sunshine, just a very slight chance of an afternoon shower or thunderstorm. Could get a shower this evening, cloudy overnight, and we'll drop to about 70. Lots of sunshine across the area on Tuesday, low to mid 90s. A shower possible Tuesday night, and then sunny and hot on Wednesday and Thursday, near 100. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently 76 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity's at 64%. Winds currently out of the east at 6 miles per hour. We do have a 20% chance at some afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Sunny, 95 for a high today. Southeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. That's it. I know Steve had mentioned could see some slight rain chances tomorrow, but after tonight, I'm not seeing rain chances till Friday night at the moment. For tonight, clear, overnight low of 71. Sunny and 96 for your Tuesday. Sunny and 96 for Wednesday. Sunny and hot 101 on Thursday. Friday 101 and sunny. And then Friday night, Saturday and Sunday, we're looking at 20, 30% chances of rain. Mid-90s for the weekend. All right, 18 minutes after 8, we're going to take a 3-minute break, and then we're going to play our interview with John and Crystal Noble from Roswell Seed. Don't go away.
Hey, CVE members, have you scheduled your no-cost home energy audit? If not, it's time to sign up. Call 575-746-3571 to get your name on the list for a free home energy audit. Weather stripping, new door sweeps, minor repairs, and much more. Start saving money and keep that purchased air in your home. Central Valley Electric Cooperative is happy to partner with Green Metal Energy for this valuable audit. Again, 575-746-3571.
Saddle up for a celebration of the bounty of Lee County during the 89th Annual Lee County Fair and PRCA Rodeo, August 1st through the 9th at the Lee County Fairgrounds in Lovington. With nonstop fun for the whole family, including an arts and crafts showcase, the carnival, concerts, Extreme Bulls event, and PRCA rodeos, the Pioneer Iron Chef contest, as well as the livestock shows, mutton bustin', fiddlers contest, and junior livestock sale, the Yucca building exhibits, plus 4-H and open youth, the flower show, farm and garden, creative arts, the special rodeo, commercial vendors, and of course, the best fair food around. The concert series begins Friday, August 1st with the Hispanic Heritage Celebration and continues nightly Tuesday, August 5th through Saturday, August 9th. Visit LeeCountyFair.net for more exciting news and updates. The 89th Annual Lee County Fair and PRCA Rodeo, August 1st through the 9th at the Lee County Fairgrounds in Lovington. Come celebrate the bounty of Lee County. We'll see you at the fair.
When managing a chronic illness, access to the right treatments makes all the difference. Artesia General Hospital's Infusion Center provides IV therapy and biologic treatments, so you don't have to travel far for care. Expert infusion therapy right here in Artesia. Call 575-736-8256 today to learn more.
Did you know almost 75% of the time we're replacing a roof, something totally weird or unexpected or bizarre happens? Jennifer here again from Trustmark Roofing, and I want you to know that we are always prepared for the unexpected. That's why we always have project superintendent on site at your home at all times to handle those weird, bizarre things as they pop up. Things like an unexpected layer of wood shake shingles under your shingles or rotted out decking boards, problems with flashing or ridges or missing supplies that somebody needs to chase down. These are the kinds of problems that normally grind the crews from other roofing companies to a halt and delay the project. But not with our super awesome superintendent there. He's equipped to handle any problem and keep the project moving along smoothly. Just one more way we do things better at Trustmark Roofing. If you have any roofing needs, call us at 575-755-ROOF or find us online at trustmarkroofpros.com.
Trustmark Roofing, we put people first.
The average American spends 2.5 days a year looking for lost items. We aren't sure how long Europeans and Asians look for lost stuff. We lost the list. Here's Mike Winters.
Joining us in studio this morning, wearing our Roswell Seed hats this morning, John and Crystal Noble back with us.
Hola.
Good morning.
Hola, good morning. Good morning.
Hola. ¿Cómo estás? Buenos días, to where we say.
Muy Monday.
I say muy Monday.
Yeah.
There's no bueno.
Well, there's no bueno. I don't know whoever came up with Mondays, but they ought to be kicked.
Well, to have a Friday, we must first have a Monday.
No, I think every day should just be, we should have like 2 Fridays and then like just go right into like a Tuesday. Mondays
Sundays.
Huh?
4 Sundays.
No, just because of football. Whatever. That's all she wants is Sundays for football.
4 Sundays.
You can only watch your team lose so many times in 1 week.
I know. Talk Raiders.
Yeah. Our record was better than yours.
No.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
I will pull the stats.
Pull the stats. Look it up, Gertrude.
My team's legit going to be good this year, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
We don't suck anymore. Yay!
For years, it's now, now before it was just the Washington who?
Yeah.
Right. Now you got everything. You can say Capitals. You can say,
Oh, yeah.
Commanders.
Nats, yeah.
Now you just see, if the baseball team gets up, you'll be trifecta.
Well, they were good. They're in a rebuild. They do have one player that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But when did they win? 2018 or 19 or 17?
Like that,
whatever
yeah.
year they won the World Series. So yeah, right. And the Caps did. And we have the redheaded stepchild of our sports teams, and that is the Washington Wizards.
Oh,
the
yeah, the
basketball
basketball, yeah.
They are.
Wasn't that known by Jordan or no?
Jordan had a piece back in the 90s there, and he played for him for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then all that when he realized that Wizards just have this stigma of suckdom to them.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, they can never get good. They'll never be good. The last time they were good was 1978 when they won the World Championship, and Wes Unseld's no longer with us, so that's not going to – and they tried to ride the Wes Unseld train for 20 years.
Okay.
Vegas record last year was 4-13.
Yeah.
Dallas was 7-10.
No. Bring it up.
I already brought it up.
No, you didn't. I didn't look it up. You just told me
The Raiders are on a down cycle right now. They've been kind of train wreck.
We've been in a rebuild for 13 years.
Well, for a minute there, like Carr's first or second year, they were making a run.
Yeah, they make it look, but it happens every year.
Yeah.
I mean, they come out strong, preseason.
7-10. We won 7, lost 10. Still better than the Raiders.
Yeah, never mind. Okay.
I don't care if we won one more game than you.
Well, they got Pete Carroll now, so everything's all good.
Yeah, that should be interesting. That's good. That's really going to be interesting.
I mean, Pete Carroll 20 years ago, maybe, but not 90. How old is he now? 80s? How old is that guy?
He's like in his 70s.
Yeah, He's not.
And then Geno Smith as the starting quarterback, I'm like, oh my god.
He's been playing for how many years now?
A long time.
Yeah.
They're gonna have the Geritol squad.
Well, it could be worse. Could have Joe Flacco. He's been playing for 50 years too now.
Yeah.
He might be a starting quarterback in Cleveland, and they got 30 quarterbacks.
Yeah,
and
I
he
know.
still may end up being the starter.
Oh, that's sad. That's rough.
See, that's the thing. You both y'all can say, well, at least we're not Browns.
Yeah. Wasn't that what
Miles Garrett though? He needs to come out of that porcelain bowl and come to a real team.
He almost was a commander for a minute there.
Yeah.
They almost lured him away.
But yeah, they gave him such an unbelievable lucrative deal. It's not even, It's just kind of one of those deals, you want to sell something, you got something and everybody wants to buy it, and you just put like a ridiculous price on it and somebody comes up and says, yeah, I'll take it.
Well, that's
So-
Cleveland's problem because they always have good players.
Yeah.
They're always top first round picks, so they always have talented, good players. I don't know if it's the ownership or the coaching, but they can't get out of their own way year after year after year.
Yeah.
And they're proof that poorly run franchise, I mean, Washington's a case in point too, but Cleveland's, because they're perennially top 5 pick. They've had more top 5 picks than any team. And by now they should have a team full of all-stars.
Right. Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah. It's pretty sad when you've had losing seasons for how many years, but you still have people that are, being enshrined into the NFL Hall of Fame, for being such a great player, but it's like
they're the lovable losers of the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a rabid, loyal fan base. God bless them.
Their fans are tough.
Yeah.
I mean, you see some of those games and it's like, whoa, they're either in 3 foot of snow or in 100-degree temperature,
even in NFC East, you're a Cowboys fan, you hate the Eagles, you hate the Commanders, vice versa. Everybody's really, and that division's also like that. If you're a Baltimore fan at Pittsburgh, you can't, they hate. But I even still to this day, they all hate Cleveland, but I still feel like, well, it's Cleveland. We don't hate them that much. They're like back when the Cardinals used to be in the NFC East. That was the NFC East team back in the '80s. Oh, poor Cardinals. They were always 2-14 or whatever they were. They were pretty losers. The Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Jets. The Giants and the Washington. They're all kicking butt. And there was the Cardinals, and then they finally shipped them off out of the division. But Cleveland Browns is the Cardinals of our. They just perennially losing, and even when Pittsburgh and them. Oh, it's a rivalry game. Is it though?
Yeah.
I mean, when you just curb stomp them every year in, year out, is it really?
Yeah, because I mean that's a tough division. I mean they're in with Baltimore, they're in with Pittsburgh,
Cincy, all the other teams.
Yeah,
they're cutthroat.
those are
And there's
tough.
Cleveland.
I mean that's like Iron Man division up there. I mean those guys, that's cold weather, cold days. They hit hard. They don't back down.
Them and the NFC East, I think, are the two. I mean, even that Chiefs and Raiders division is not the same as
no.
those,
That's kind of flash speed. Who has the better quarterback, fastest receivers? Over there in that Iron Man division, I mean, those guys, they're grunts, man. I mean, they dig in and they just, they're not giving an in. You got to earn that in. So let's put it that way. Your fast receivers, you might be fast, but I guarantee you, you get one that goes across the middle over there in that Iron Man division, they're going to hit. Yeah, they're going to hit that boy. It's worth the 15-yard penalty.
Absolutely.
So
speaking of turf,
yes,
we're going to change it.
Oh, I know. That was my fault. I started that.
That's okay. I'll talk off kilter with anybody.
I know. This Friday for the 4th of July, Roswell Street will be closed. Also on
not all day. Wait.
On the 4th of July.
On the 4th of July.
This Friday.
This Friday. But also this Thursday from about 10 to 12, depending on how long it takes, Roswell Street will also be closed. They are doing a memorial bench for Jim Gill on the court lawn.
Oh, how nice.
On the 3rd, and so we will be there to...
So we'd like to invite everyone to come out, and that'll be Thursday, the UFO Festival starting, so
it's
you're there.
10:30 on the court lawn.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Roswell Street will be closed while we are at the court lawn.
Very good.
Then we'll open back up.
Yes.
But, I mean...
Now, the road will be open in front of you guys, right?
Yes.
Or is that closed
No,
right there?
that's all the way
Starts on Friday.
Yeah.
That starts
I
Friday.
don't know. I know it's closed all the way up to...
I think they're closing it Thursday because of the 4th of July holiday.
4th of July holiday.
The city's closing. That's why we have an extra day of UFO Festival. They're going to put all the barriers and stuff out Wednesday.
Yeah.
They already have them out downtown.
Well, I think they're going to
no, but put them up.
And so they're going to close the streets Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all the way to Walnut.
Yeah.
So...
I thought it said the 5th. I don't know.
So, but you can park around back.
Yeah.
Where everyone else does and goes and does it every time.
For people that have been anticipating and waiting and waiting and waiting, honey will be on the shelves within the next couple of days.
Not
Nice.
a lot, but we do have some.
Pardon the pun, but sweet.
Yeah, sweet. Well, as a matter of fact, Ben, he's married to Emily Gill. Last night, yeah, he harvested honey for the first time. She helped him Saturday, and he got decent amount of honey. Good. So last night he getting brave, and oh yeah, I know what I'm doing now. Yeah, he got lit up.
Yeah.
Poor guy. They all got him in the thighs, and he's not a big guy, but yeah, he's just bruised.
It wasn't that scene from what was that movie called? The one where he. Yeah, the one where he's dating the sister. The one where he finds out he's dating the girl and he turns out it's her sister. But there was like the uncle, and he was like an invalid. But then he gets next to like some bush that's covered in. Next thing you know, he's got like the bee beard and he just show him, and he's got a wind kazoo. And so he's covered in bees, and he just goes bees. And it's the funniest. I laugh hard every time I see that scene.
I remember.
So
that had Heather Graham.
Yes. I don't remember the name of the movie.
I can't remember what it is.
So there's going to be 2 different honeys because you can have one flavor from one hive and 10 feet away have a second hive and it completely have a different flavor.
Depends on where they pollinate off of.
Right.
Yeah. So
Ben's honey's real floral. It's got a real
tastes
floral
like
taste.
a flowery. So there will be Ben's and Emily's, and then there will be mine and John's.
Okay.
So
not like we're going against one another or anything. It's just
well, put it this way. It'll all go quick. Regardless.
Oh yeah.
It's local, and I know you've probably seen 100 times, but if you live here, that honey's got beneficial, allergies and stuff. Like if you consume honey from a local source, it does have holistic properties and good for your health and everything else. The stuff you buy off the shelf's not going to help you that.
Yeah, it's processed.
But the stuff that was pollinated by bees off of plants and things that are in your neighborhood, where you live, next thing you know, that's going to give you a little antibody. If you're dealing with allergy problems and things like that, you might find you're more tolerant to some of these things that you're.
What hilarious people they say that. Well, no, this says it's all natural. It's like no, it ain't. Yeah, it ain't. Yeah, it is. You know what? Leave that honey out. In cold weather or whatever, you can still take it and turn it upside down, and you can see.
Yeah,
it
honey
moving.
never goes bad.
You do that with raw honey, it'll crystallize, and you have to heat it back up and get it back. That's the difference. It's not pasteurized.
There's some preservatives in some of the stuff you buy on the shelf to keep it from doing that.
Yeah.
Or when they're filtering out, the honeycomb and wax and stuff like that, they mix it with water or.
No, they can't mix it with water.
Not water. I'm sorry, Karo syrup or.
And this is just the truth in all your foods. Yeah. Like if you're eating and consuming foods that aren't from the area of which you're raised, there's preservatives and things that even your fruits and veggies that are come from other places, they put stuff in them to keep them with longer shelf lives so they can travel on boats and planes or wherever they got to do to get to where they're going to be served. Whereas, you've got some produce that was grown, down at Gray's Farm or something, it's as fresh as it comes. It's how it is. There's not all the crap that's trying to keep it looking pretty for another week or two. None of that's in there. It's au natural. And same with the honey. That's why you get the true benefit. Don't get me wrong. I get it. I buy produce and things off the shelf just like everybody else does. But if you're wanting the true benefits, the more local grown stuff you can get, the better shape you're going to find yourself.
Yeah, and we had a lot of people this year. Again, vegetables. I mean, we got wiped out. Our vegetables. We had people coming as far as Hobbs to get our vegetable plants.
That's great.
And it's just all like, whoa. And so we're talking about configuring something. Our greenhouse guy ain't going to be happy about it, but we're talking about possibly bringing in a 4th greenhouse.
Nice. Well, it's all about supply and demand at the end of the day.
And that's just it.
Yeah.
And, everybody, we got yelled at, I don't know how many times. And they're all like, how much is a 4-pack? It was like $3.98 for a 4-pack of plants. And they're all like, I just bought one, so-and-so for like $6. Okay. Well, you guys need to raise your price.
Right.
No. There's a reason why we've been open for 127 years.
Yeah.
You know,
we've been here longer than most of those other places you're going to buy this stuff.
It's nuts, and people were actually kind of mad at the price. You know, and they're like, "Oh my god,
too cheap!
It's too cheap." You know, what's wrong with it?
Bend over. I'll kick you in the pants if you want. If you make you feel better.
And it's like, well, you know, and I told this one guy, I was laughing. I was like, well, our shipping costs are pretty low. He was like, how much do you pay for shipping, you know, to bring these plants in? I said, they come across the alley, you know, so, and I even got him a special cart now with a cup holder on it. So he can actually, you know, it's really nice, you know.
And you know what, there's this thing about humans, and this is why we're idiots, is most of us translate what we paid for it makes it more valuable.
Yeah.
And so now don't get me wrong. Yes, certain things you buy that are more expensive, there's a reason they're more expensive. But people love to brag about paying a lot for things.
Yeah.
For whatever reason it is. Those tomato plants cost me $10 a piece. Can you believe it? But they're made from, and then they get to tell their story.
Right.
Well, it's got, and
they're
so they're
purple
like,
tomatoes.
what do you mean? I only got to pay 99 cents for this. Is it cheap? No, it's just that's what it costs for me to, you know, to make money and to get this to you.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And guess what? I'm trying to save you $1 is in the thing that's saying, hey, next time I need this, I'm going to come in because I didn't pay as much as I did at Home Depot or Walmart or wherever you're going to buy this.
And it's hilarious because that's a huge division between like the men and women. She'll come in from the grocery. You know how much I had to pay for this? I'm like, I don't care. I just wanted it. I don't get. We don't look at that price.
Yeah.
But then again, here we go with this. Is like our farrier, Chris, which I still can't say his last name. If you want to know, I'll give you his number. You can call. He's a great guy.
You can sound it out together.
Great farrier. I mean, the guy, he's worth like every penny, literally. She'll pay that quick. Because she sees him work. She sees him
sees the value in that cost.
I mean, because our horse, he's stubborn as hell.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, he's going to be going. He's going to go to AA. I'm pretty sure, you know, whatever. Because every time Chris shows up, he don't even play around. He just gives him the little happy juice, and he stays still after that, and he don't move. But I mean, but she, you know, Chris, you know, his price went up a little bit. I don't care. Whatever it costs, it doesn't matter because she sees that. But she goes to your grocery store.
Sure.
Oh, my God. You realize how much this tomato was? You could have bought a plant at work and you could have grown them yourself. I don't know.
I could have, however.
Well, here we go again. I don't want to hear about it. You killed the plant that Kent gave you. You killed it like 6 times.
I know.
And she was sitting there she's sitting there telling me, this plant.
And so begins.
It's like, it's just like really, really delicate. And I'm just thinking to myself, you realize you killed this thing 6 times. You brought it back to life 6 times. All right? It's a pretty damn good plant in my book.
Right.
You know, and just because well, you know, I watered it like 3 days ago. Okay, that's not, I work in the industry. It'd be,
Look,
maybe I know a thing about it too.
I told you I wasn't the petunia girl. I told you I could kill it just by looking at it.
Yeah.
I kept it alive for 2 months. That's longer than last year.
Well, with a name like Petunia, it has to be delicate.
It is really not. She's proven that it's not.
It's weird because,
this thing was like just sticks at one point.
Yeah.
I was looking at it going, good God. So I took it off and I brought it in the house, put it in the sink, filled it up with water and stuff like that. And then like 2 days later, boom, big beautiful blooms all on it. And I told her, here, yeah, I'm keeping up with it. And then I would see it in the sink and, and she water, and then I stepped off the back porch the other day. I looked at it and I was like, oh, God, here we go again. It's just like.
I think the message is she just doesn't like the petunia.
No, it's not that I don't. It's just because it's in a different area from where all the other plants are.
Yeah, I got you.
It's kind of out of sight, out of mind.
She walks by it every morning.
Yeah,
it's
but
out
I'm
of sight,
walking
out of mind.
out.
But you're not in watering plant mode. You're in, I'm about to go to work or about to do something else.
Thank you.
I get that. Because I too do that where I'm like, I'll get that later.
Mr. walks by the trash to leave every morning, but doesn't grab it and take it out the door.
It's because it's hidden in between.
No, it's not hidden.
Yeah, it is hidden.
I think that comes deep in the DNA man code, just like the part about hunting and all that. Like that's all in the code. We just
there.
DNA says what? I don't see that. We just go. I got it.
Yeah. So this one. Why do you let the trash get so full before you take it?
It's huge.
It's not that I'm trying to let the trash get full before I take it. It's the fact that You walk by it the same way I do every morning before you leave. You could grab it and go.
My argument there is I can get something else in that bag. Hold on.
No, he will smush it down and smush it down and smush it down, and then I'm trying to pull it out, and I'm like, I can't
in my
get this
head,
out.
In my head, I don't want to waste a single trash bag.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
I don't know why that's the hill I die on, but that's the hill.
No, it's military, because if they give you a bag and say, fill it, and you
There's still more room.
and you fill, and then they'll come by and they'll grab it and they'll smash it down and they'll go, oh, well, you only got a quarter of that bag full, and you're like,
He does have a
and
point.
then it's
They
the
do-
same thing. We do
do
the
get
same
ingrained
thing.
into
Yeah.
those kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I get it. I'm very, conservative, especially at work.
Uh-huh.
We don't have a ton of money, so we have to be resourceful.
Sure.
Smash it down. But when your bag is cracking and ripping because you're pushing stuff down so far, when you pull it out, it
I'm not
busts.
saying we don't go overkill.
Falling and falling, and I'm all like,
That's her.
and he won't take it out. And he's just still, and I'm like,
Or no.
why? Will you take the trash out?
Yeah, or it's a box. Instead of just breaking the box down, smashing it, and then throw it in, just throw the box in there, and you're looking at it going, that just took up
Okay, I open up the trash can and find 8 Amazon boxes just sitting there, not broken down.
Right. No, see, I'll leave the boxes together because I take them to Camille at the thrift store and they use it. So when they have trash, they just throw them in
Gotcha.
those. So I'll pile up the boxes, but I throw the boxes in the back of my truck. Can I take them?
Yeah. No. I don't know how many times I think trash is empty. I put a bag out there and there's like 4 boxes sucking up the whole
bag.
whole
Yeah,
trash can.
There's stuff in there,
Yeah.
so I smash it down, and then she yells at me, "I can't get it out of the can." Grab it and pull it. Don't tie it because these aren't the. Yeah.
Our trash can that's in our porch. You don't break down all them boxes. Not all the time.
Small ones, I don't.
The big
If
ones-
I get a big box, I'm breaking it down and putting it.
Well, them little ones, when there's 7 of them in there, it takes up half the trash can.
Yeah, and then there's she'll buy. Don't do that to those bags because these bags aren't very good. And it's like, what'd you get them for? Well, they're the name brand bags. Okay.
No,
So-
I said they were on sale, so I bought them.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I'm
then I was like, okay.
I always get the one that says Force Flex or whatever on there.
I don't
It's
even
like
get
it-
those. I
yeah.
go to wherever and I buy the construction site
Yugo?
ones.
Yeah.
You go?
No, I take them when I go to get them from
No.
work.
I go.
I know you go. Anyways, I send you there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when the fight starts.
However, normally I don't buy the name brand. I'll buy the generic Force Flex, stretchy ones. Well, Hefty was on sale cheaper and it was the Force Flex. No, there ain't no Force Flex. You go and they're ripping
Force
and I was
rip.
like, wow.
That's why they're on sale.
Yeah, that's why they're on sale. You come to Roswell Seed, see what kind of bags we use.
The industrial
the
trash
industrial
bags.
ones. And why? Well, because we're the Roswell Seed boys. Trust me, I can smash all kinds of crap in those bags. Pick them, they ain't gonna rip. I got guys that can't even pick the bags up. They will drag them all the way out,
or use the forklift.
Or use a forklift. Yeah, they're not gonna rip. They still don't rip, even dragging them or whatever. We ain't put a body in one yet. Maybe I could stuff one of the guys in one, see if it'll work.
Say.
Yeah. Anyways, back to plants. Hello.
Y'all sell them trash bags now? But if you are shopping here during UFO Festival, we'll be open except for 4th of July that Friday.
Yes.
And then for an hour or two on Thursday as we do the
yeah.
dedication for Jim's bench. That's pretty cool. I'm glad
Yeah.
you're doing that. That's really cool.
They actually sent legislation down. It's signed by the Capitol.
So which bench is it on the courthouse lawn that they're dedicating?
I don't know.
We don't know.
But it's one of the ones on the courthouse lawn?
Evidently,
Okay.
yeah. We won't know
Cool.
until we get
I
there.
guess they'll put
tap
the
it
placard up or it'll have it
I
on
don't know.
sometime
Is
this
it on
week.
it or is that on the actual?
I think they put
chair?
them on the bench. The
I
placard.
think
of the
think they're
bench.
actually putting a new bench out
Okay.
there.
And it'll be the placard on the new
On
bench.
the new bench, yeah.
Is it going to be one of the recycled benches?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think.
Nice.
Is that what they said? I don't know.
Yeah, it's the ones they make off the bottle caps.
I just
the plastic
worked. I
caps.
just worked there. I can
Who's,
tell you.
the
Who?
lady that lives down the street from mom.
Oh.
Cars. Would let you drive it.
That's Miss Rita.
Miss Rita.
Dorhoff.
Oh,
Yes.
Rita Dorfer. Okay.
So she's the one helping with all of
Okay.
that for.
I do know it's usually Main Street Roswell involved in that, so I'm going to say that's
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
for the organization. she's with.
Yeah. And
Very
we always
cool.
donated plants, and old Dad always did. He always did all that stuff. Well, he done
Well,
it for 100
Well,
years.
there's a reason why they're dedicating a bench. And
Yeah.
it makes complete sense. And you know what? If you're thinking of people that were influential in the shaping of this community, Mr. Gill is top of the list.
Oh yeah,
You know, that's
yeah.
just-
And then the backstories behind all that, because you don't really hear all that, and then you start listening to like the backstories, and he starts explaining stuff to you, and you're just all like, "Whoa, okay, I get that now," you know. And it's like how far the city has come from when he grew up to what it is today.
Sure,
totally different, you know, outlook. Like he said, back in the day, teachers, especially teachers, you know, people don't realize teachers spend a lot of their own money to do things for their students.
I can attest to that.
Yeah. And yeah.
You're listening to this, listeners. He's right.
Yeah.
Right on spot there.
And I mean, you know, they come in, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Okay, well, you know, we got some broken bags of soil in the back. We'll just give it to you. It's no big deal. We'll give you, you know, here's some seeds. Try this, try, you know, that type of deal.
It's like being neighbors.
Yeah,
Just
basically.
helping out, being neighbors.
Help out.
Being neighborly.
And you can't go in Walmart and have to ask somebody what to do that. Oh, I got to ask this manager. Well, that man. Well, now we got to call corporate. It's like, you know.
Well,
yeah.
And we're give or take around the same ballpark in age here, and just our own personal experiences. How, you know, whether it was here or somewhere else, when you grew up as a kid, versus how life is today, it's night and day different.
Yeah,
and I'm not even talking about technology and things. I'm just people's attitudes, the mindset, like you said, you could literally walk up in a place and just be like, hey, what's up? You help out. Nowadays, it's like, well, you got to get on the app. You got to do, or, you know, don't talk to me, or, you know,
You
what
have
I
to
mean?
get an approval to be here.
Yeah, I always love when
You need a
people
visitor
like
pass.
people
I gotta talk to
return
corporate.
Yeah. They return stuff to the store, and they'll be like, "I don't have my receipt," and it's like, "It's okay. Nobody else sells that here. I know where you got it
Like,
from.
I know where it
Perfectly
came from."
fine. You know, as long as it's not open, as long as you didn't use it, I don't care. I'll give you right back your money." And they're like, "Really? That easy? Is there a catch?" Yeah, chocolate chip cookies. Or we'll take your dog. You
Next
know,
time,
it's
bring
like-
me a pie.
Yeah.
He had some lady bribing him with ice cream the other day.
Oh God, yes, he almost had me too. I was ready to go.
Nice.
Yeah. It was a cheat day that day too, so I would have been
No,
right
it
in.
wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
Sundays are your cheat days.
I think whatever.
Every
and
day's Sunday. He has
every
four of
day's
them,
Sunday.
remember?
Yeah. No, more Sundays
I
now.
have
Yeah.
4 Sundays. He doesn't. He's got 2 Thursdays or 2 Tuesdays. Nope, I got 4 Sundays.
Oh no.
Very good.
But at the shop right now, we're
what's kind of in season at the moment?
Right now, Bermuda seed. We still have. We're getting really good reviews back on.
Are we still in the
Fox
window to
Farms.
plant Bermuda, or are we getting
Yeah,
out of that?
no,
window?
you're still within the window to plant Bermuda.
Okay.
We're getting really, really good feedback off of the Fox Farms. I am taking some of it to some of our nurseries. They're going to do some trial stuff for us to kind of figure out which one is going to work the best, which one's better for vegetables, which one's better for flowers. Trying to fine tune it basically for
Gotcha.
people.
Yeah.
So that's going to be coming up this week. Yeah, this week. Right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, good. Then that means I don't know what I'm talking about. Great. So I think it's this week. I got to try to run some down to one of our nurseries in Artesia.
Okay.
She's going to plant various plants in some of these and see how they do, how
Do
well
some
they work for
experimenting
us
on
and
you,
stuff like
for
that.
you.
Yeah.
Nora and her sister.
Clinical testing, we'll
Nora.
call it that.
Yeah. Let's see. Grub treatment right now. Yeah, get it done.
If not, you will pay for it later.
Yeah, last year we had some really bad outbreaks of grubs. Generally, they were only once a year. We had 2. We had one guy that had 3 outbreaks.
Does the
coming out.
moisture, lack thereof, or more of,
It's just the
impact that
heat.
one? Okay.
Yeah, but the moisture is right now. So the fungus on
I'll say we're pretty moist right now for
Yeah.
our neck of the woods.
the fungus right now on Bermuda grass is just kicking into high gear.
Gotcha.
So if you start seeing your grass kind of discoloring, it looks like it kind of looks like grubs in a way, but it's not. It's this fungus.
Does fertilizer fix that, or what do you got to do to?
You have to put an antifungal on it.
Okay.
And you have to do it quick.
To get some like tough tenactin for your grass,
basically. Yeah. So what we kind of tell people what to do is if you have Bermuda, don't water at night anymore.
Okay. Because that festers the moisture,
yeah.
which creates the fungus.
Right, because our evening temperatures aren't dropping below like 60, 65. It's staying above that, and that's what kicks in this fungus and makes it kick.
Oh, I got you. So these warm nights have been a problem.
Yeah.
Makes
so
sense.
extend your morning waterings out just a little bit longer. Cut out the evening waterings.
Gotcha.
And then if you do happen to have it, or if you have a lawn service guys, they're getting really, really good about it. They're disinfecting their lawnmowers from house to house to house. You need to do the same thing if you cut your own lawn. It's nothing huge, just a 50-50 mix of bleach and water. Just spray the underneath of the blade and top underneath and just let it dry.
That'll kill that bacteria.
Kill the bacteria off. Yeah,
Makes sense.
because that's how it spreads. And then with all this water that's been coming down and stuff like that, weeds, we get it.
They're going to show up overnight.
Yeah, we're getting some weeds that we haven't seen in the area in like 20 years. So I'm working on that. Because 20 years ago they had a different chemical that would take care of it. Of course, they don't make that.
Can't use that anymore. You're not allowed to use that one.
It was. It was detrimental to the Boswanian blowfly. Who cares?
Right.
It's like, we're working on getting some chemicals. The people that were fighting crabgrass, I brought in a different chemical. Seems to be working really, really good. We've been getting good feedback on that.
The Krabby Red.
The Krabby Red, yeah. I'm bringing more of that in and stuff. It's just people have to give me just a little bit of time because I'm trying to bring in some of this stuff. Well, I can't bring in a lot of it at first. I have to test it first and make sure it's going to work.
Sure.
And then once it hooks, then I can I can
so you got to get
it
basically a testing sample.
Right.
And then if it's a dud, then you move on. But if it's, we're getting good results, now I'm going to order a pallet of this.
Basically, yeah. And so fertilizers, we're still doing our same fertilizers. The AquaTurf fertilizer, a lot of people are coming on board with that. It is cutting back their waterings. They don't have to water as much because of the molecule system that's in it.
You're feeding it a different way a little bit. Or
it's got a water. It's got a water holder in it,
so it kind of retains moisture.
Yeah, it retains moisture.
Gotcha.
So that's been doing really, really good. Bug sprays, I've tried out a couple. One didn't work. One seems to be doing really good. I brought in another one that we're kind of testing out. Supposed to take care of the scorpions. We're going to be trying it out on our place. I got nailed not too long ago by a scorpion, and then found another one in or two or three in the bedroom. We have an outbreak of scorpions that are coming. We never had them that bad.
I sprayed the house with Tempo already, and they're just like,
Yeah, so
of course, you guys are out in the country too.
Yeah. So I brought in
just show up.
out
in the country.
Yeah. So I brought in this other chemical. We're gonna try it. I'm letting some other people try it, see if that's gonna work. And it works on pretty much almost all of your like yard bugs. It's not meant to be sprayed inside. It's only an outside spray.
Gotcha.
If you can't get a hold of us, you could call Faith's Pest Control. She deals with scorpions quite a bit.
Okay.
She's really, really knowledgeable. I've been trying to catch her when she comes in because she's one of those people that could just start naming off like the chemicals, like,
Gotcha.
you need blah, 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 and you're just like...
She's got a special dislike for the scorpions.
Yeah, she's got it, So Faith's Pest Control, she's really, really good at it. Come in, like I said, we can hook you up with that.
Sure.
We have a lot of people that are coming in. Cockroaches, the water.
Does that spray for like the scorpions work similar to like your cockroach and stuff, where you spray it like once a quarter or something and you're kind of good?
No, this stuff is supposed to be just like one time. You're supposed to just spray it one time.
Okay.
Cockroaches, different story. Cockroaches you have to spray continually for like a month. Especially the little German browns.
There's a reason why. There's the running joke that if we have nuclear fallout, the only thing left on the earth will be cockroaches.
Yeah, basically.
You can't get rid of them.
People come in and they'll buy the Tempo, which works extremely well on cockroaches. But we tell them for the first 30 days, first month you're spraying like every 5 to 7 days. You're trying to break up the hatching cycle, and then the following month it's about once every 10 days, and then the third month is if you see them. If you could break up the hatching cycle, that's the key part of it.
Keep you ahead of the game,
unfortunately, it's not a one-time spray, and there you go. If you do find a chemical that you could spray one time, and then there you go, you're going to go right along with them. So
I've
just
had our
remember
people,
that.
trusted people, do it every 3 months for the last 10 years, and every house I've had since I've lived here, and I never have an issue with those.
Yeah.
So Tempo is just slightly under the spray that Bob Reed's use.
Gotcha.
So Bob Reed sprays the kennels for us and the thrift store.
And they're the ones who help my house.
Basically, he told me Tempo is the strongest thing over the counter that we can spray in our house without having an applicator's license.
Okay.
And theirs is just slightly bit more stronger.
So it's the good stuff.
It is the good stuff.
It's made by Bear.
Nice.
Gotta love the Germans.
Now that being said, be careful. There's a reason why people have professional licenses to do this stuff. Adhere to all the warnings and directions very well on it. If you start getting cavalier with that thing, you're going to have problems. That's all I'm saying. This ain't like your off that you buy at the store and you, oops, I oversprayed, no biggie.
Yeah.
This will, if you not do it right, this could create other problems.
Yeah, termites in the house, you need to call professionals.
Yeah.
We do not carry a spray. We carry a spray for the outside. They'll take care of
there's
termites.
a whole different type of abatement when it comes to that.
Oh, man,
stuff.
yeah. And then also, for everybody that's listening, if you got the pecan trees, you're going to start seeing the gooey rings around the pecan trees. Call Bob Reed. They're, I think, one of the only companies in town that will spray residential trees.
Okay.
And they could spray to kill, it's an aphid that's up in the tree, and it will start to be more pronounced as the humidity starts to come on.
Once they get in there, they're hard to get rid of. So
They're always in there. It's just that we're just really humid here lately. The past
last
3
couple
years.
of years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these people are like, I got this gooey ring around. It's aphid. It's aphid poop, basically, is what it is. Bob Reed can spray those.
Okay.
You know, they have the capability and the spray guns to get up there and then nail them. Don't call Faith. Faith does not spray.
Gotcha.
You know, she's a ground chemical, and you
This is
know,
above her pay grade.
You you know, she don't have a boom truck,
Right.
You know, so or a sprayer that'll reach.
We don't just have one
80
lying
feet.
around?
Yeah, you know, I think she drives a little Toyota. She could probably just put a ladder in the back of the Toyota,
There you
pull it
go.
up there. Yeah, there you go.
I
It's
don't think
fine.
she'd appreciate that. However, she'd probably get a laugh,
Yeah,
and then she's probably going to yell at you when she hears this.
Yeah, that'd be
she
fun.
probably will.
Well, yell them at John, not me.
Yeah.
I just saw the time. We're about to get kicked off the radio. Is there anything we missed? Anything we definitely want to cover before we
No.
wrap up here?
If you got any questions, give a holler at the shop. It's 622-7701. We found out. I think our old telephone number was like B539. That
Nice.
was our old telephone number. Yeah. And stuff like that.
Operator B539.
Yeah.
And she puts the sticks
in there
Yeah, I
and
love
sends it. No, just you know, with excuse me, with this rain, weeds are going to be coming out even more now. So
keep on top of it. And if you
Thanks.
let's say you get a beverage here.
Yeah.
But if you have any questions, any issues, don't hesitate. Come by Roswell Seed. I will tell you this: the more pictures and more information you have them, the better they can help you diagnose your issues. So come prepared to answer questions.
Yes.
Like what
Pictures,
are you dealing with?
samples.
Yeah. And don't be bringing in those pictures of the really cool cars in the background either. That's just mean.
That's just distracting.
This one guy came in. And I'm looking at this truck going, "Hey, is that?" And he was all like, "Yeah, that one's for sale." And she was all like, "You don't even think about it." I'm like, "Come on."
No.
You
It's
know.
like how many bags would that car cost?
Yeah.
Like,
I got a pallet of
Like, if I gotta-
1688 in
yeah.
the back. Can
Put
we
this
do
way,
a
I can
swap?
fertilize you for life if you want to do a swappy out
No
here on
kidding,
this.
you know.
But definitely, and of course, don't forget we'll be closed Friday for Independence Day,
Right.
and then for a portion of the day on Thursday as we do
and
the dedication
come down.
to the bench.
You know, I don't know what the whole ceremony entails. I mean, I'm
Usually
sure
it's about probably half hour,
maybe
40 minutes.
Yeah, I'm
max,
sure they're gonna
so.
give an
Be some
speech
speeches
and
and
all that and blah blah blah.
Some from the
and that's
family
gonna
may
be it.
talk. I'm going to take a stab.
I won't.
Be prepared just in case.
Yeah. They're gonna give
just a heads up.
Yeah, they're gonna give me a script here. You need to read this. I'm a Marine. I can't read. Shit, get away. You know, I'll go off of memory. You know,
pictures.
That's
Yeah.
what I was gonna say. Yeah, Marine manuals come in pictures.
Yeah,
Just say.
there's a reason. With the censor button right there. Neat, 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 neat. You know, so.
Very good. Well, thank you guys as
Thank you.
always, and
Yes, thank
we'll
you.
see you next time. And folks, questions, comments, concerns, come down to Roswell Seed. If they can't answer it, it probably can't be answered.
Come down and talk. We had a guy that come in the other day. Them Roswell Seed Boys. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's still around. You know, yeah, them Roswell Seed Boys.
It is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah,
it's a badge of honor
yeah.
and it's a oh lordy at the same time.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
For $50,000 in a case of a Texas man that claimed he was being censored by the sheriff's office. Jason Sanchez sued Lee County and its commissioners, claiming his civil rights were violated under the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Sanchez, a former Eddy County resident, and maintains a Facebook page called Eddy and Lee County Exposed. He claims to expose hypocrisy and corruption within local government agencies. Comments that Sanchez posted to the Lee County Sheriff's Facebook page were routinely deleted, and he was blocked by administrators of the Lee County social media sites. Lee County Manager Corey Needham has since enacted a new policy that prohibits all comments on all social media messages. A new report by state economists contends that it could take up to a decade to clean up abandoned oil and gas wells in New Mexico, while the state is forced to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to fix the problem. Environmentalists claim the abandoned wells leach chemicals into the land and the air and risk public health if not remediated. While operators do pay into a state fund when wells are initially drilled, the report says that amount typically does not cover the full expense to plug a well. You're up to date. I'm Jared Sorello.
The Great One, Mark Levin, is now in Roswell on 106.5 KEND Roswell.
Tactical gear and a rifle reportedly opened fire upon Border Patrol agents as they arrived at a Border Patrol annex facility in McAllen, Texas today. That's in the Rio Grande Valley area of Texas. Fox News reporting agents and local police returned fire, killing the gunman. According to that report, no federal agents were hit, but one McAllen police officer was struck and is in stable condition in the hospital. Authorities in Texas say at least 82 people were killed in that devastating weekend flooding along the Guadalupe River. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says there may be people missing nobody knows about.
There were so many people who were just camping out, not children in camps, but adults camping out near the river, people in RVs and things like that. There are people who are missing who are not on the known confirmed missing because we don't yet know who they are.
The governor's comments airing on KVUE. Listeners who wish to help in the disaster rescue effort can make donations to www.salvationarmytexas.org. House Speaker Mike Johnson says that while the one big beautiful bill is now passed after a lengthy debate, there will be even more reconciliation process bills soon.
In an interview, Speaker Johnson announced, quote, "We have been planning a second reconciliation bill for the fall that would be attached to the next fiscal year, and then potentially one in the spring." He said, "That's my plan, 3 reconciliation bills before this Congress is over." Johnson said this is all in an effort to, quote, "deliver that America First agenda, which the people elected Congress to do." The Speaker continued, quote, "The big beautiful bill is designed to uplift lower and middle class Americans by making the 2017 Trump tax cuts permanent." Bernie Bennett reporting.
On Wall Street, the Dow struggling is down 249 points. More from townhall.com.
Charlie Kirk here. I've been thinking, why does it feel like
everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals, too.
Call 866-755-5300. That's 866-755-5300. Again, that's 866-755-5300. Call us right now.
Has a report for us on the latest attack on a ship in the Red Sea.
A ship in the Red Sea was set on fire by a series of attacks Sunday night. It then took on water, forcing its crew to abandon ship. It's the first serious assault on a vital corridor for trade after a months-long campaign by Yemen's Houthi rebels. And suspicion has fallen on the Houthis for this latest attack. Houthi media reported on the attack but didn't claim responsibility. Meanwhile, in Yemen's capital, Sana'a, thousands of Houthi supporters gathered in the streets chanting "Death to America" and "Death to Israel." The attack comes at a sensitive moment in the Middle East, right before Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu heads to the White House to discuss a possible ceasefire in the Israeli-Hamas war. I'm Donna Warder.
Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. Democrats in New York and around the country may find themselves divided over outspoken mayoral nominee Zoran Mamdani, a 33-year-old self-proclaimed Democratic socialist. Republican strategist Aaron McGuire.
Democrats are going to try their best to keep him at an arm's distance, but this is a young, charismatic guy who's good on camera and has got himself a name ID very quickly. He will be everywhere, driving the conversation, and Democrats will have to answer for things like government-run grocery stores.
If Mamdani wins, he would become the city's furthest left mayor in modern history. Global shares were mostly down as the Trump administration steps up pressure on trading partners to quickly make new deals before a Wednesday tariff deadline, and that deadline is still approaching, and it's possibly having an impact on Wall Street with all of the Dows, the Dow, the NASDAQ, and S&P 500 struggling. More from townhall.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man on this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The travel listen, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 3.
Tres Inviernos.
Of Mornings with Mike Winters, right here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM. Happy Monday.
Yes, happy 7th of July?
July the 7th.
Indeed. Soak it in.
Post-4th weekend, post-UFO weekend.
Fireworks hangover, although I'm sure they still have a few left to blast off.
Oh, they were booming last night.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine we'll hear another 2 days of booming until everyone spent all of their fireworks.
The one I will never understand. And I mean, I guess as a young boy I got it, but the Black Cat. That is the most pointless firecracker out there. It's just loud and annoying, and nobody ever just sets off one.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's the most pointless firework I've always felt. It's like, we don't need just a loud boom, just something to annoy my animals, you know?
I think it's an evolutionary thing.
Yeah.
Like when we were kids,
yeah,
the high water mark was Black Cat. But there's
Right.
been so much cooler things since then.
No. When we were younger, like
For
the older kid.
15, 6-year-old kid to get a hold of fireworks at the stand, Black Cat was the.
But see, when I was in middle and high school, it was always the M scale. That's when you knew you were
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that's like, you know.
But they never really let us have those. Like
they didn't let us, but there was always that one kid. There was always that one. Usually his name was Brandon, and it was always just had like. And if I remember correctly, it gets bigger as it goes down, right? So like an M80 versus an M60 versus an M40 and M20. I don't know. I think once you get down to M, it's just liquid explosive.
I would say I think those things are just minor sticks of dynamite,
right.
basically.
Yeah.
But again, most parents wouldn't let us like the Black Cat was what they let us buy. Like you're like, all right, can I have? I don't want sparklers. Okay, get the Black Cats, and then you're like, okay, that and the firecrackers. I mean, those are pointless too.
Yeah.
The little string of firecrackers you just light and throw, and then at someone's feet usually.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just annoying. Like that's just you're just doing that to upset your neighbor or a friend.
That's the best of what we had back then. Now it's all different. Now it's fountains and things that shoot motors up in the air.
I'm a little upset. I watched a video of this. So somebody made a firework called the Whistling Bunghole. Now, if you remember, that was one of the fireworks
that was one of the
in
David
Joe
Spade.
Dirt.
Yeah, Joe Dirt.
It didn't whistle. It just, now in fairness, it was an homage to the show because it was just a long snake.
Yeah.
That came out of, you know, I think it was like a police officer's bottom or something. Anyways, so it was an homage to the movie, but it should have at least whistled.
Right.
Like, it really upset me that it made no sound.
You know what the ones I always wanted and liked, but I knew were cheesy, but in my head seemed cooler? Was, do you remember when you could buy like tanks that were like firecrackers?
Yeah.
And you could, like, they just blew up. Yeah, they barely rolled. They just blew up mostly.
You
but,
just enough like sparklers in the back to push it like 4 feet, and then it would shoot off like a thing in the front. Yeah.
And to be honest, prior to a sparkler, the Black Cat was way better because prior to that you had the sparkler or the black tablet ash snake.
Yeah.
That was your two choices.
Or smoke bomb.
Yeah. Well, smoke bomb was just awesome.
My dad always made such a big deal out of pop bottle rockets.
Yeah.
Like, and he never would call them bottle rockets. He would call them pop bottle rockets because, you know, him and his friends used to go, and when they had the glass bottled soda, they'd go down to the lake and they would just set the bottle in the dirt and then just shoot off the bottle rocket.
It was your vessel, your
from that
launch pad. Yeah.
Although my dad also was one of those who would light it, swing his hand back, and then throw it up.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, now he was pretty good with timing. Usually he would get it to where it would be flying upwards. There was a few times he let it go a little bit too late and it was coming down before it actually started.
All of our
shooting
dads
off.
were 16-year-old boys at some point doing the same thing, and at one point they want to look cool for their boy, and it's like, check this out, son, and then they literally blow their hand off.
Well, I
happens
remember,
every year.
I do remember him taking me to this like, not like it was like right next to a lake, and he showed me how you could hold the Coke bottle if you hold it like right here, and you could shoot it off from your hand. In fairness, I did burn myself a couple of times because of the sparks, and you know, he said I needed to cowboy up, but that wasn't the point.
That's what I say. Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Rub some dirt on it, you'll be fine.
Cowboy up, boy. I didn't know my name was Sean until I was 10. I just thought I was boy.
But Black Cats were you procured and then snuck off afterwards and went and shot at your friends and whatnot.
Right.
That was,
well,
to be honest, that's, again, don't do this at home, kids. That I had Black Cats and we literally would fire them at each other. We would literally, I mean, it was the dumbest
Roman
stuff.
candles. Those are the
we
best
couldn't
for,
afford those.
Like if you're jousting with your boys, you know, those are the best.
Yeah, those were two. The Black Cats were more. You could hide them better. You could seek them out better. Roman candles were a little harder. But
Black Cats, though, the thing with Black Cats is you had to, because they were such short fuse.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you had to, because
like
it came on
light
that
and then
stick.
chuck it.
Yeah, you kind of had.
No,
that.
no, I'm talking about Black Cats.
Oh yeah, those.
Yeah, like the string of
well,
Black
they had
Cats.
the ones that they also had Black Cats that came on a string.
Oh,
or
yeah,
on a stick
on a
that you
like
shot.
the
Yeah,
rockets.
that's the ones I had.
Right.
And I'd have a brick of those bad boys. And you
Okay.
could fire them off, and then you hold that stick just right. And then if you do it right when the fuse, it'll.
Those sticks are made from old telephone poles. They'll splinter in your hand just by looking at them.
Yeah, that was what we had back in the day. But
Back in our day. But yeah, no, and that's the thing is when you go into like a fireworks shop, they have to do things to make them look extra interesting. Like what it reminds me of is if you've ever been to like a carnival or the fair, there's always like 2 or 3 fun houses, and it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's just got a different weird like facade on the front.
Right.
That's what fireworks are. It's just you're getting the same, kabooms and kablams and whistles.
Yeah.
But we're gonna put a different facade on there. This one's unicorn themed. This one's military themed or whatever.
Kind of like escape rooms.
Yeah. Exactly. Same thing. Just, new packaging.
Well, and food for that matter.
Right. Well, yeah.
It's just the same. It's just they put. By the way, and I know, but there's a sandwich that I got to be honest, sounds revolting that they're plugging right now.
Okay.
It's that Wendy's Taki hot chicken sandwich. Have you seen the commercials?
No,
for
I
that?
have not.
It's basically a chicken sandwich, but they put some like Fuego Takis on it or something.
Oh, okay.
And aren't those the ones killing kids with cancer, by the way?
No. Not cancer. I think you're mixing up stories.
I know. One of those things, kids are burning their mouths
the
out.
Fuego. Yeah, I think that one kid ended up getting like an ulcer or something like that.
Yeah. But anyway, I think they're making Wendy's has a chicken sandwich with those in it. And I'm not gonna lie, I like that just sounds gross to me. I think we're just like this is just gross.
I'm trying to find it. I found the Fuego meal.
Yeah, they got fries, but I think they got a sandwich.
Iconic spicy chicken fillet topped with chopped Takis Fuego chips, cheddar cheese sauce, a creamy corn spread, and chili lime. Dude, it's just elotes. It's like elotes on a burger or on a chicken sandwich.
Thing. It's driving me nuts.
Yeah, it doesn't sound too terrible, but it comes with a side of Takis. You'll be happy to know, or or those Taki fries.
Comes with a side of indigestion. That's what that bad boy.
Yeah, pretty much.
With. Oh, my.
It should come with 2 famotidine.
I got heartburn thinking about it.
That's the same thing with that.
I'm out on that sandwich.
That pickle.
That's a lot of pickle. The Sonic pickle one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little. I like pickle as much as the next guy, but that's a little over pickle.
It's the drink was what pushed it too far.
Yeah.
Because it's like if you were doing the Hot Ones challenge, and all you had to relieve yourself was like a bottle of hot sauce.
Yeah,
that's
would be
basically
bad.
what that was. 'Cause you're like, oh, it's too much pickle. You reach for your beverage, and it's literally balls of pickle juice bursting in your mouth.
Now I'll say this: get a normal meal, but get the pickle tots.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing.
Those were some good tots. Yeah,
that's a perfect to me. I know at first I'm like, yeah, but then as I was going through, I'm like, okay, now I'm getting it.
Right.
And the pickle to tot ratio is good on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't try the fries, but I did have the tots, and I eat the whole because they put it in like a foot-long coney box.
Yeah.
I ate the whole dang thing. It was good.
Yep. What you gotta do is,
I'm out on
the first few are just tots.
Right.
But once you get down to the last few, you can kind of
get the dill,
scrape all the good stuff off on the bottom, and
yeah, it was good.
It's good stuff.
But I enjoyed that. But yeah, the burgers, the smasher, just get the regular smasher for me. I'm out on I don't need cucumber things.
Yeah, cucumbers and pickles and a pickle
ranch or something.
Dilly ranch sauce. Yeah.
That's a lot of pickle.
Which it is fun to say Dilly ranch.
All I can think of is
Dilly Dilly.
Yeah, it's this stupid Bud Light commercial. Dilly Dilly. That was so
if
dumb.
You're gonna bring if you're gonna bring a
earwormy.
campaign back, bring back Dilly Dilly. I feel like that was an innocuous one that everybody could get behind.
Well,
for a good solid 2 weeks at least.
Yeah, it was. Put it this way, we got so Budweiser and out that Dilly Dilly didn't get a chance.
No, it wasn't as strong of a contender, but for a minute it did catch. It had its moment. It had its moment in the sun.
I think it was a victim of the WhatsApp campaign.
Oh, they all are.
The Budweiser frogs,
and of course the Clydesdales.
But those are sentimental. Like the frogs and lily pad, that just turned into a thing that got super annoying.
Yeah, I feel like the Clydesdales were sentimental until they had them playing football.
Yeah,
that was the moment I'm like, all right.
That's when it got a little goofy. Yeah. But the What's Up one, that got way too much run. And when, and it wasn't just Scary Movie. It was like every comic bit had their What's Up bit in it somewhere or another. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, this is not funny anymore. This is just dumb.
It's really funny when you go back and you watch a movie and they make a reference to something that was, a popular thing at the time, but everybody forgot about. Prime example, if you go back and watch Scary Movie 2, there's a joke in the movie where the David Cross character is in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, one of his wheelchair tires bursts into flames or whatever. And you look at it on the side and it says Firestone.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, that's right. Remember that for 6 months, everybody was making jokes about how Firestone tires would just burst for no reason.
Because one did.
Yeah, because it was like a big thing. It was like a whole recall.
It had a recall and all that. Yeah.
But it's such a joke of its time. Like it was in that bubble of it was funny then, but now it's like, wait, what? Oh, that's right. It's a very weird.
Maybe someone should make a movie, and just all those stupid scares and everything, and make bits out of them. Everything.
Stuff in every reference you can. Like I was watching something the other day, and this is how dated something can feel. They made a Huck Tua joke. I'm like, wow, that was a long time ago.
We still on that one?
I know, and then I looked at the video. It was 6 months ago. I'm like, oh wow. But yeah,
Is she come out of hiding and all that? After all that went, she went into hiding and then never hurt anybody for a while.
She never officially canceled her podcast, but she didn't do it. She hasn't done another episode since the one where she came back to answer all the questions.
I think hangs out at cons
Pookie's house, from what I heard.
Well, I'm almost to the point where I think that, you know how we have like Comic-Con?
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to get to a point where we have social media cons.
Reference con.
And they'll be like, remember Hawk Tua girl? And then
that's the thing. It's got like Scumbag Steve will be there. Hide the Pain Harold.
The
Success Kid.
That man is not real on the plane lady. What was her name? Remember, she was really popular for like 2 weeks.
There is something back there.
Yeah. That lady, she's like, I think she's got a whole social media thing now because of that.
The one I was reminded of the other day was, do you remember, I want to go home, I want to go home, I want to go home. Remember that one?
Yes.
It was right during like the very beginning of the pandemic. There was a guy who they were going to like remove from the flight, I think because it was overbooked or something.
Yeah.
And he starts losing it. He's just walking up and down the aisle going, I need to go home. I need to go home. That was a big deal.
What about is the succulent Chinese food guy alive?
Succulent Chinese meal? I love that
He would
reference.
be one of the con guys, the main guys at the con.
Just over there in the corner serving up succulent Chinese meal like chow mein or something.
Yeah, and of course you get the mean people. You know, they get a whole section. Like Hide the Pain Harold, all those guys, and But I think some of the even like the Cash Me Outside girl, you got to put her in there. I know she's kind of on her own thing and makes a bunch of, but I mean, she got famous. For that matter, you may even have like a section for like reality TV stars that went viral before viral was a viral thing.
So like Snooki
or the John and Kate plus 8 lady.
Oh my God, Kate Gosselin, yeah. What's her bowl cut keister up to these days? I've heard stories though about the kids now that they're old enough that like they've kind of published their own stories and said she's the devil and we wanted nothing to do with her, and some of like the ones who are too young to actually leave have asked to be full custody with their dad. And when your kids are asking away from you,
yes, that's not good.
Not great.
No, not good. No, but I don't know. Maybe we can get this con started.
I think so.
I'm thinking at some point, most of these people, they're 15 minutes of
we
run.
can call it.
Run dry.
Oh yeah, that guy con.
Yes. I'll tell you, we could make millionaires out of all this stuff. All right, let me give you the rundown for this hour of the show. Here in just a minute, we'll get you up to date with the weather. John Thosen with the Mexico Shooting Sports Association is going to join us here and give us an update in just a few minutes. Later on in the hour, we'll get you up to date with news of the local variety Wall Street business update and whatever else we can conjure up for this hour of the show. But first, your weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. Looks like low to mid 90s for us today. We will have some sunshine, just a very slight chance of an afternoon shower or thunderstorm. Could get a shower this evening, cloudy overnight, and we'll drop to about 70. Lots of sunshine across the area on Tuesday, low to mid 90s. A shower possible Tuesday night, and then sunny and hot on Wednesday and Thursday, near 100. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently, you know what? I do have to refresh my weather. I did not. So let me get that refreshed. There it goes. Currently 76 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity's at 60%. Winds are out of the northeast at 6 miles per hour. There is a 20% chance we could see some showers this afternoon. Otherwise, sunny for the day with a high of 95. Southeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear tonight with an overnight low of 71 degrees. Southeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tuesday and Wednesday are looking very similar. Sunny and 96. South winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Wednesday's the exact same thing. Sunny, high of 96. 5 to 10 mile an hour winds out of the south. Thursday, we're hitting the century mark. Sunny, hot, high of 101. Friday, sunny and hot, 101 for a high as well. And then Friday night, there's a 20% chance of rain. Saturday, a 30% chance of rain with a high of 95. Sunday, a 20% chance of rain with a high of 95 as well. All right, 9:23, we're going to take a 3-minute break, and then John's going to join us from the New Mexico Shooting Sports Association on the other side. Don't go away. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters.
Innovation, service, integrity, and knowledge. J.S. Ward & Son Insurance Agency. Auto and home, life and health, personal and commercial. Bonds too, since 1925. We have the coverage for you. shooting service, integrity and knowledge. J.S. Ward and Son Insurance Agency.
Lights, camera, action. Get superhero savings during our summer blockbuster sales event going on right now at Roswell Ford. Hey Roswell, you don't need to be a hero to pay zero. Drive home a new Ford with zero down and zero payments this summer. Plus, at Roswell Ford, everyone gets employee pricing. You heard right. At Roswell Ford, you pay what we pay on our huge inventory of new Fords. Stuck in your loan or lease and want out early? Roswell Ford can get you released, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, regardless of make, miles, or condition. Don't let the credit villains keep you from driving your dream car. At Roswell Ford, getting approved is a possible mission, so you can pay what we pay. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to find the best car and get massive American-made savings and the best car buying experience. Get on board at Roswell Ford, because we'll do whatever it takes to make a deal. 821 North Main Street in beautiful Roswell. Call 575-623-3673 or online at roswellford.com. Interest accrues from date of sale on select vehicles. Trade balances refinanced to new loan. Subject to lender approval. Offers not combined.
Have you experienced the Valley Cafe yet? It's much more than lunch or dinner. It's an experience. Chef Anthony Noble is a nominated Chef of the Year and manager with a 4.9 out of 5 kitchen cleanliness rating and a 4.8 out of 5 most love rating. It's time for you to experience the difference that so many others already have at the Valley Cafe. Visit for lunch or dinner at 801 West Brasher, the Orange Building across from Church on the Move in Roswell, and save the Valley Cafe in your contacts. 575-755-EATS, 575-755-3287. Don't forget, we can cater your event too, and a portion of our proceeds go to the Dream Center in Roswell.
For the first time ever, the National Championship Air Races are touching down in Roswell, New Mexico. From September 10th through the 14th, witness the world's best pilots battle it out in the fastest motorsport on the planet. Vintage warbirds, cutting-edge jets, aerobatics, and family fun, all against the stunning New Mexico sky. 3, 2, 1. Get your tickets now at airrace.org. Don't miss this high-octane spectacle.
If you're a service member, veteran, or family member who's feeling alone,
whether you're in crisis or not,
don't remain silent and suffer alone.
There is help out there.
Talk to someone you can trust.
Free confidential support is available 24/7 through the Veterans Crisis Line. Just text or call 988 and press 1 for veterans. Talking to someone about suicide won't increase the risk of suicide. It could save a life.
Sponsored by the New Mexico Department of Veterans Services, the Department of Health, the NMBA, and this station.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. Astronauts are not allowed to eat beans before they go into space because passing wind in a spacesuit damages them. The suits for the astronauts. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 26 minutes after 9 o'clock. And joining us in studio this morning from the New Mexico Shooting Sports Association, John Thosen back with us. Morning, John.
Hey, how are you today, Mike?
Doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing great.
Good deal. Well, let's before we kind of get into everything, let's kind of give people a little background. Tell them what the New Mexico Shooting Sports Association, what they're all about. I mean, I think you can kind of figure out in the title that this is all about firearms and firearm safety and firearm availability for folks and things like that.
Yeah, we've been around. We're an NRA state affiliate. We've been around since 1935, and one of our big functions is fighting the legislature. We've been largely responsible for defeating all the anti-gun bills, or almost all of them, in the last 7 legislative sessions. And it's funny, we got to do the same thing all over again. You know, we fight the semi-automatic weapon, we fight the magazine, and win in most cases, and then we got to turn right around and do it all again.
Yeah, that's kind of always been it's always the new thing, and especially if some new equipment or something, and they're like, all right, we gotta nitpick on that one too.
Figure out how to ban something else.
Kind of like, Second Amendment. It is what it is. Now I get it. Not everyone should be having a tank or anything like that in their house, but when it comes to you're allowed to own a firearm. That's a constitutional right that you have, and
absolute Second Amendment.
And if you don't defend these rights, then someone will take them away from you. History has proven that to us time and time again.
And we all know what happens when they take them away from us. But we're involved in a lot of things. We've got the New Mexico Shooting Sports Association, and a couple of years ago we started the New Mexico Shooting Sports Foundation.
Gotcha.
And what it does primarily is that we're trying to raise money for youth shooting.
Gotcha.
This year, for example, we donated $10,000 to kids all over the state that we're going to shoot in 4-H events and other shooting competitions across the country. So,
and this is really what I think is the disconnect. When we talk about firearms, and yes, it's constitutionally, but here's the thing, like any other right, there's a responsibility with it. And that's what I love about this is the part that, all right, we're teaching youth proper firearm safety, proper firearm usage, proper, handling of these things. And guess what? When you educate people on how to use them, guess what you don't find?
Exactly.
Accidents and things like the things we hear about.
And the statistics prove that. If you look at most of the anti-gun stuff, they come up with these statistics, and they're usually manipulated to prove their point. A real good example is, they always say that guns kill more kids than anything else. Well, that's absolutely untrue. What they do to try to get that statistic is they don't count kids from 0 to 1, and then they extend the kids from 18 to 21, so you get all your gang violence and all that kind of stuff, and then they're able to twist our statistics.
This is the sad part of statistics is anybody can manipulate and to create their own narrative with them very easily if you're not one that, and this is, again, back to the point, and, whether it's firearms or any other legal issue, do your research, do your homework, because every place you read one thing about one, it's probably been manipulated. You got to find it from multiple sources, multiple things. And this is the responsibility of being an American nowadays is, know the difference between someone's trying to sell you a lemon versus real work being done here. And unfortunately, a lot of information gets misconstrued and misturned to reach a narrative that's not really true. Exactly. And a lot of people get false beliefs, false narratives about how things are.
Harder every year, too. Yeah. I mean, you try to research something, and you got one expert says this, one expert says that. Yeah. You really got to do your work to get down to the bottom of what's really true and accurate.
And whether a gun can shoot 10 rounds a second or one, or that's not the point here. The point here is who's the person behind the gun and why, and some of these people should not have guns and some should. Exactly. And this is that responsibility thing, and that's it. It's a mental health problem.
And we've got
it's not a gun problem.
Laws to to protect all that, but it's training, like you say.
Yes,
learning at a young age, and then the term gun violence. There's really no such thing. Have you ever seen a gun get up and do anything on its own? It's people that are operating these things. They're the problem, and some of them are genuinely sick and need some help.
Absolutely,
but taking guns away from you and I because of things like that doesn't solve anything.
Sure, it's no different than any other things in your house. You have a gas or an electric stove in your house. At some point, you let your kids handle those things. But guess what? You teach them on how to do all that first. A firearm is no different.
Exactly.
And that's all we're talking about here. It's a tool like anything else. And, we can get in debates all day about this, but it doesn't matter. If you teach kids and adults proper use of a gun, whether it's a handgun or a bazooka, it doesn't really matter as long as, you're teaching the safe part. And this is what do and not to do with it. And that's what it's about. I mean, in teaching, I don't know, when I was a kid, we went and watched movies, and let's face it, we watched Rambo and, all these. But at the end of the day, our parents said, this is fantasy. This is not real. And I feel like that disconnect's almost like gone. And at some point, people are like thinking, wait a minute, that's a movie. That guy doesn't exist, but you're basing your whole life on that. And I'm like, this is, and you know what I'm saying? That's kind of where we're going with this stuff. And that's why I'm like, no, and reality is, we can deal with the crazy, but when it's a movie and all this, but you teach, you understand, you realize this is fantasy.
We all watched John Wayne movies, and we played cowboys and Indians.
Exactly.
And nobody ever got hurt, or because we were taught right.
And that's part of it. It's that education side, and that sounds like what you fight in the legislature, making sure this stuff happens. But at the same token, you're also conducting training, showing families how to safely handle firearms and how to responsibly be a gun owner.
Yeah, and we're trying to. It's really funny. As many gun owners are in this state, we have to fight like heck to get. This is a organization. Your dues is $25, and if you're a certain age, it's only $15. You can't buy a box of ammo for that.
No.
But yet we can't get half of the gun owners in the state to be involved.
Sure.
Same with at the national level. They're just. It seems like a lot of gun owners are really into apathy and complacency, and they don't want to get involved. They don't want to help us with money. So we're fighting. Not only are we fighting the legislature, we're fighting for help. It's amazing that we can't get people to help us more than they do.
You always hear, you know, I don't want to get into quoting things and all that, but there's so many times when you look at history and you look at, you know, I know this is a very popular subject right now, but look at the rise of the Nazi Empire here during World War II. The reason why things like this happen is, because people hit the right notes with people, and a huge lack of complacency by people that know different.
Yep.
And that's exactly how Hitler rose to power.
Yeah. And we can't seem to learn from that.
Yeah.
You know, we're still, some of the same things that happen are happening in our country now.
Absolutely.
It's scary.
You know how many countries Hitler rolled through and people just said,
gosh.
oh, he's fine.
Yeah.
He literally took over half of Europe before somebody said, maybe we ought to do something about this.
We finally did, but it took us a while, I'll tell you.
But that's the biggest lesson we can learn, and that translates into everything. And it's no different here. Is if you're just thinking let other people fight the fight, then you're going to lose the fight. And that's, you know, and sure, okay, maybe you don't have to be sitting in the legislative, you know, yelling and screaming, but supporting organizations like this, either financially or
support us. We do the yelling.
Yeah, exactly. Let you guys be that voice in the legislature, whether it's Congress or our own New Mexico.
We're there every single session in front of every single bill. I average about 100 hours a year just writing testimony, giving testimony during the legislative session for, like I say, last 7 years, and over and over and over, do the same thing every year.
Absolutely. Well, and we all know that we are a very one-party state here in New Mexico, and it's been that way since long before we were a state.
Exactly.
You know, when we were in New Mexico. I mean, literally. The Santa Fe, the cattle ring, we were really run by the mafia before we became statehood, and it ain't gotten much better since.
Well, we got to keep trying, but yeah, it's
and so you want change, you've got to make a difference. You got to stand up and get involved. You got to, and I don't. I mean, we're getting political, but you know, it's at the end of the day, it's not really political. I don't care. You could be the proest of Republicans or the proest of Democrats. Really good government happens when you have a balance of two in the room talking and doing that. And New Mexico's never had that.
Right, exactly. And look what's going on with Texas right now.
Exactly.
They can come together and something like that, but we can't come together to support the American flag and our Constitution and our Declaration, and it's just unbelievable.
And so this is why, if you want things better, this is what you need to stand up and do. So, you know, if you're a strong Second Amendment supporter, you want to ensure that your kids have the same rights than you do, maybe getting involved in organizations like this might be at least financially, or at least educate yourself, you know, and know what's really going on, look at, I know I'm getting on a rant here, but look at the whole thing, which we're still dealing with on environmental stuff, you know, listing of animals and everything else. This is the same, different battle, but same tactics. And as soon as, you know, it's one thing, then it's going to be the next thing. And they keep doing it and gumming up the works till eventually they get people so tired and they say, fine, let's expand the guns. And that's what they're hoping and so they're going to keep going. It's no different with the animals. Oh, you're going to, okay, so we lost against the sand dune lizard. All right, let's bring out the prairie chicken, or let's bring out the minnow fish, or whatever it is next. And it's going to be the same thing here with this. Okay, you got this thing fought. Now they're going to, you know, go after this next thing. And it's a never-ending battle.
That's exactly what's happening. They, you know, they've got rich donors like Bloomberg and Soros and everything else, and they nickel and dime us to death, so to speak. You know, we fight 10 battles for 10 different types of legislation. Well, we win most of them, but then they get the little bitty one. Like last year, you know, they got in the 7-day waiting period, and so we beat everything else. We beat several serious bills.
Here's the crux, and at least in my opinion, on the whole gun, you know, issues and how we look. I get it. We have a lot of laws already in place that don't allow someone to just walk up and buy a gun. And problem is enforcement and execution of this thing. We can make all the laws we want, but they have no way of really executing some of these said laws. So they just keep making more laws and not executing any of them. I mean, yes, we have some background checks and things like that, but I'm telling you right now, the level that when they keep bringing it, it's functionally impossible to do that feasibly and find it's like court systems. You can make all the laws you want, but if you can't prosecute nobody, you can't do nothing or sit in jail, then what's the point?
Well,
we're kind of in that boat with gun stuff.
Some of them don't want to. The Obama administration, for example, he used to tout 43,000 people he caught filling out 4473 illegally, the form you fill out to buy a gun. Guess how many of those 43,000 were prosecuted?
0.
6.
6. There you go. Same thing. And that's what I'm saying. I mean,
but if you and I did it.
Yeah. Oh, then but that's my point is let's, if we want to truly talk about some of this stuff, let's be real about it and come from a common sense thing. And to be honest, I think if we actually funded and supported, some of what's already in place, then it goes away. The background checks. The way people think, you could literally walk into any gun store today and walk out with a whole battalion of weapons, and I'm like, no, you can't do that, even if you wanted to.
They still want to convince people a Glock is a machine gun.
It's there's like you can't just go up and buy. I get it. They have laws saying you can't just because you're mad at somebody go buy a gun and blow them away. We've had laws almost my whole life preventing you from doing that. Yeah. That's not new stuff we're talking about.
All they got to do is enforce them and educate our kids, and we haven't got the problem we've
Instead
got.
Of creating new
you
laws.
didn't see these school shootings when we were kids.
No.
I mean, I used to go to high school with a rifle in the back of my pickup because we might want to go hunting or something afterwards.
This is a bigger issue. This is mental health. This is about family. This is nothing to do with. That's like saying we have a hammer problem. That's not the problem. The problem is we got people that seriously need help here, and that's where we need to Susan G. Coleman like we do with breast cancer. We need to do that with mental health and put the funding there. And I guarantee the gun issue goes away, your crime issue goes away, a lot of other issues start going away too.
Yeah, I tell you, they say hands and feet. The honest statistics, hands and feet kill more kids and people than guns do.
Look at England. Guns have been illegal over there. Their murder rates just as it's knives or billy clubs or whatever.
Yeah. Somebody wants to do violence, they don't have to do it with a gun.
Yeah, that's kind of the point here. But again, I know we're getting really soapboxy here, but this is kind of why this organization exists and going above and beyond to keep it.
These are in every gun store in Roswell and Clovis. That's my district, and Ruidoso, but you can come and pick these up and join us and help us fight this thing. And then, like I say, we're doing a fundraiser.
I'm going to say we got a little shindig for folks to come on out and have a good time at the Liberty coming up.
Hanging around town a little bit. I'm trying to advertise as much as I can, but we're fortunate enough on July 18th to have Jay McKittrick's coming down. He's a comedian that's been all over the state.
Yeah.
Pretty good guy. And
come out for Night of Laughs.
Yeah,
and
he's donating his time for this cause.
Oh, good.
That's how important
so
it
this
is
is kind of one of his champion projects,
it is.
too. Very good.
Freedom in general and constitutional rights.
Okay.
So we're going to have a big show the 18th. We're going to raffle off some guns during that show.
Nice.
Liberty holds 250 people. If I can fill that place, we might be able to afford to pay a lawyer for 4 hours or so.
That'd be nice. And of course, Liberty, they do a great job of eating and food and drink. You have a great night of fun, comedy, and if you can, bid on some of these firearms and help out the organization. You can become a member. I'm sure if you want to learn more information about becoming a member, you can. John and there'll be some other folks there you can talk to about that. But if nothing else, come and support the cause and come out and have a few beverages, a meal, and enjoy some laughs out there.
The main fundraiser is for New Mexico Shooting Sports Association, but we're also the 2 guns that are going to be raffled off there to help support the New Mexico Shooting Sports Foundation. And again, that money will go to help youth shooting and youth education.
Yeah.
So we're excited. We're hoping to fill that place. A lot of us have done a lot of work advertising, and it's kind of the first time I've ever tried to do something like this, but Liberty's helped me a lot, and we're on our way, and hopefully we'll fill that place up.
Absolutely. So normally I know with any event at the Liberty, you can get tickets at thelibertyinc.com. Do you guys have a special link to get tickets or just through the Liberty?
Yeah, there's a QR code here.
Okay.
You can get it at liberty.com, go to events, and go to July 18th.
Yeah.
I have tickets I'll sell if anybody needs it that way. My phone number is 575-626-3974. Call me anytime. There's several ways to get tickets.
Good deal. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you've never been to Liberty, it's a great venue especially for comedy shows or concerts. Great intimate atmosphere, but the food's good. It's a great ambiance in there too.
And they've been helpful to us too. They're giving us some slack on some stuff
good.
too, because
Good. Glad to hear that.
Josh is interested in this type of event too. And
good deal. We'll support them by buying dinner and having a beverage or two and coming out there but come out and support and have fun. That's the big thing too. Is if we can do it while laughing, that's even better. So
sometimes you gotta laugh.
That's exactly. And really, this is like if promoting shooting sports and getting your youth involved, this is a great way to do it. It's I know you wear many hats over the years here with teaching youth firearms and shooting sports and talked about some of that stuff. And that's the fun part of it is when you get these kids and you have those moments and next thing you know that they're the ones that taking their kids for their first, whether it's hunting or going out to the range or whatever that is. It's that milestone in life moment. Really,
it's something I'll never forget. Like I say, I was a Chaves County 4-H shotgun and pistol coach, and that was some of the most exciting times of my life working with these kids. I hated to give it up, but I had to. I had health reasons, but we took a team to the national championships for pistol, and those kids, watching all those kids. We had at that one event there was something like 14 or 15,000 kids, all handling guns safely, competitively.
Not one incident anywhere.
Not one.
Yeah.
Every year we have a big shoot up here at Whittington. We have 750 kids or more every year for the 4-H thing. Never a problem.
Nope.
Because they're taught properly. They're
treated with respect.
Yeah, and shooting, it gives you eye and hand coordination. It does teach you respect, responsibility. I mean,
so much discipline is learned by learning especially when you're talking rifle, shotgun, or pistol, where you're talking about breath control and sight picture. These are all discipline skill sets and that translates into other aspects of their lives too.
Like shooting sports, with these kids, it helps with their future life. Teaches them the camaraderie and dealing with people and the competitive aspects of being sportsmanship. It's great opportunities, and that's part of what we're trying to help provide.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, when you hang out at events like this and you see it's a different world, because they know the rules. Because rule number one in any time we're dealing with firearms and anything else is no matter the gun, you treat it like a loaded gun. Exactly. And everyone abides by that rule. And then you notice guns are never pointed at people. They're kept, the trigger control. There ain't no one touching a trigger unless they're ready to fire that bad boy. These are this stuff is ingrained into the people after a while.
Unless you watch TV.
Yeah, until you watch TV, then all that goes out the window.
That's one of my wife and I's favorite sport is to watch some of these shows like FBI and count all the things. Man, I've never seen a revolver shoot 19 shots before.
Yeah. Like, man, you've literally shot 57 times and not reloaded once. Or the gangster sideways and they flip around, and you know how hard it is to be accurate with a handgun while they're running around like that? It is just...
And you can't shoot a handgun
regardless
of
all,
what they want you to think.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, it looks cool on the screen, I guess, but you ain't hitting a barn with an elephant on that doing this.
No, that's one of the things about shooting. It is, like you say, it takes a lot of control, lot of effort, a lot of mental discipline.
Yeah.
But it's such a great sport.
Yeah.
I've loved it all my life. I started into it, actually. My dad started me in archery first, and I had a longbow. I had to stand on a 5-gallon bucket so my bow wouldn't hit the ground when I shot it.
And to me, that's a great way to do it, because archery, it teaches those beginning stages, the discipline, the breath control, all those things that are required. And it actually, because you're holding, depending on the draw weight of that bow, you're doing it while exercising strength there.
That's true.
At least with a rifle, depending on how you're holding it. But if you're sitting on a sandbag on a chair, and then you're just pulling the trigger. But and again, all this is different. Shooting a rifle from a seated position is way easier than you're in a standing position holding all the weight of the gun on your own. That sight picture is a lot different. And that's the stuff you learn. And it's like, okay, how do I stable myself so my sight picture goes? What's different ways to do that in the field? Which different ways to and that's. That's the beauty of all this stuff. You learn it and what and the different calibers and what why you should use a different, especially for hunting and stuff. Why is shotgun's better than a rifle here, and what you're doing. I'm pretty sure you're not hunting birds with a rifle. That's just unless you're some cowboy that was in Unforgiven that can shoot an eagle flying around, which nobody can, but with a handgun, by the way.
Well, Glenn Campbell shot a turkey with a 45-70 on True Grits.
Yeah, I mean, But for every one time they did that, how many times they missed? That's all I'm saying.
I guarantee you that was definitely staged.
But you know, I like that scene in, I don't know, Unforgiven, another more modern classic Western here. But there's a scene where, because one of the characters is blind as a bat, and so he's talking about birds, and but they're shooting I was like, come on, man, ain't nobody. I get it. We're talking about, you know, Annie Oakley types and all this, but none of us are hitting a eagle flying at full speed with a pistol.
Clint Eastwood movies are good though.
Yeah,
Westerns,
but
yeah,
entertaining. Yeah,
they are.
But that's where you learn this stuff, and it's a tool just like anything else, and you use the right tool for the job. And why a shotgun's important, you know, versus if you want to eat, maybe you know this. But this is what you learn that stuff, and that's the lifetime
And our country
of it.
was founded on firearms.
Well, I mean, it's and
we didn't beat the British with forks and spoons.
Absolutely, and that's why we have these constitutional, you know, why these are in our Constitution. You know, if you look at those first 10 amendments, a lot of that's dealing with, you know, the quartering and all that. You know, it's like, yeah, because they could literally put soldiers up in your house and you couldn't say a dang thing about it.
And guess what? You lose a Second Amendment, you've lost them all. Trust me.
And that's kind of what, you know, freedom of speech, you know, is, you know, what you can say as long as there's, you know, these are all, you know, I'm one of the ones that all 10 are equally important, but yes, some get more spotlight than others,
Exactly.
1 and 2, but you know,
They're all important. That's for
absolutely. Sure. And that's really at the end of the day is we're protecting constitutional rights, obviously with the Shooting Sports Association focusing on the second. But that's, if you want to get and support your Constitution and say these things, and really, you know, you want to ensure your kids and your grandkids and your kids' kids have the same rights and freedoms you do, this is how you support those types of things.
For sure.
You know, get involved legislatively. You know, if you want to be more active, I'm sure John has a bunch of places for you on there.
Oh, definitely.
He could always use more people sitting in the roundhouse in January, just like everybody else here. But
that's our toughest duty right there, I'll tell you.
I would imagine, because it's a losing fight for New Mexico.
You sit there and you testify, and they're up there like this, and don't say a word till it's time to vote. Then they wake up and vote no.
Yeah.
Or yes, depending on the situation.
And that's why you get, and I know, and I'm pretty sure, you know, based on legislatures here in this part of the state, you probably have pretty good relationships with most of them, because they're in agreement. It's the rest of the state that they're, you know, maybe up in the Four Corners area and down here, but after that, it's everybody's, you know, liberal Democrat.
Yeah, we've had real good luck here. All of our legislators are all friends of mine. They support us and everything else. One of the biggest supporters, I'll tell you, I'm sure Miss Greg Nyber, he really did a lot of behind the scenes things up there.
But that's the problem, is we need more of them. This is, and again, getting back to what I was talking about at the beginning, you know, balance is where it is, and we don't have balance. You know, there's, you know, 3-1 Democrat to Republican, and I'm just spitballing, but it's something like that.
Nobody wants to run, and you can't blame them. I mean, your life is destroyed as soon as you announce candidacy.
Yeah, it's rough, and so the best way is support stuff like this. Come out here on the 18th and have a chuckle or two, and then you know, bid on some of these guns and support financially here, so we can keep the information going, keeping these. And by the way, you're also supporting the training side of it. You're ensuring that youth will have access to a place to learn firearm safety and properly, and you're also supporting that by doing this too.
Support us so we can support you.
Yeah,
that's what we're trying to do.
If folks want to do some reading, websites, Facebooks, or any place they can learn more about the New Mexico Shooting Sports Association?
They can go. Like I say, we've got these in every gun store, and it's got the website on it. We've got on our website, we have some. It's New Mexico Shooting Sports Association.org. We've got some training, like we've got some pistol training right there on the website.
Okay.
We've got some history, and
so you can maybe if you want to talk with your kids a little bit about it, you can get a starting point right there at the website and give them a little visual to see and some of that stuff.
You know, we'll help in any way we can. We like to be involved, and we want to help protect this.
Absolutely. And this is the best way to distill all the other stuff. Like when you're showing your kids how to do this stuff, and of course their exposure's like a lot of people. It's like, I watched, you know, whatever Marvel movie or whatever, you know what I mean? And they think it's like, all right, first off, that's all fantasy. Let's get, but then you can sit down. All right, now we got to find the right gun for you at this time. And what's the, you know, what are we doing here? All right, we're just learning the ways of firearms and shooting. You don't need something huge. Let's start you with a 22 rifle. Let's start you with a 22 pistol or something of a smaller caliber that can learn you how the proper etiquette for safety firearms. And then once you get better handling, then we hand you the bigger calibers and the the ones that are more intended purposes for their shooting.
I was an NRA instructor for many years, and that's how I'd start them. If you were a beginner or even a moderate, I'd take you to the range, and we'd sit down on a bench with a bag and a 22 single shot pistol, and that's how we started.
22 Marlins are one of the best guns in the world, man.
Man. I wish I had a whole bunch of 39A Marlins right now. Boy, they are worth.
They're
a fortune.
workhorses. They're good. They're accurate.
Yeah.
They're just job doing guns, and they don't have the bang and the boom that everyone loves. But I'll put you. A 22 will do whatever you need it to do if you know what you're doing.
That's another fortunate thing in the age we live in right now. Our guns, you can buy a Ruger Gen 2 rifle, and out of the box, it'll shoot like it would cost you $6,000 20 years ago to have custom job on it. It's amazing. You get a rifle now, if it's not a minute accuracy out of the box at 100 yards, that's very unusual.
Yeah.
You couldn't think about that 15 years ago.
Oh yeah, blacksmithing has gotten much like any other forms of technology, including the world of not blacksmithing but gunsmithing. Yep. Although I'm sure there's been modern technologies in blacksmithing too, but in gunsmithing, absolutely here.
Yeah, case hardening a pistol, for example.
Absolutely, yeah. So again, we're about out of time here, but July 18th at the Liberty, come on out.
At the Liberty, look at these. They're all over town. Give me a call.
Night of Comedy with Jay McKittrick. We'll also have a firearm auction. Several firearms will be available for that for purchase or for bid. Here is that all of the proceeds go to the New Mexico Shooting Sports Association here, so we can continue its programs for youth and keep the good fight going in the legislative sessions here as again, protecting and preserving the Second Amendment and doing the best we can so the state of New Mexico doesn't infringe upon it.
Right. And I don't know if I mentioned the two guns, or we're going to have a 1911 pistol and a 22 semi-automatic rifle.
And, that's the best workhorse, and this is probably a little prettier than the one you probably learned on. But, but again, a staple workhorse firearm. Nothing wrong with that. TheLibertyInc.com. You can get tickets there. Also, don't forget, you can look for the New Mexico Shooting Sports Association on Facebook and online and all that. Like you said, any gun store in town, you'll find the brochure there. You can do a little reading on that. And, of course, join us on July 18th with any questions you have. John or any of the staff there will be happy to fill you in on more information. And if you're interested in becoming a member or want to get more involved, lots of opportunities to do so.
Like they say, be there or be square.
There you go. And come bring you funny bone and maybe an empty stomach for some delicious food.
Sounds fun.
John, did we get it all?
I think so. I appreciate it. As always, it's always nice to visit with you. And
anything we can do to help, and appreciate the hard work you and the organization's doing. And folks, complacency will be the death of you if you don't roll up your sleeves and get involved in the things that you're passionate about.
Yeah, we're seeing that now. You're right.
And this is what you got to do, and this is how you do it. You do it peacefully. You do it by the law. You do it by, strength in numbers, protests, signings, do these things. Show your support, giving our legislators tools, sending them the emails, sharing your stories, because when they have to fight the fights here in Santa Fe, their constituents are their ammo. What they get from their constituents gives them the tools to fight for your rights, and your organization helps do that, but giving your legislators that same ammo helps them make that fight. So get involved. So, thank you, sir.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
We'll see you here a little bit down the road here. 9:57. Let's pause for news before they kick me off the radio. Don't go away.
Now for your Pecos Valley news update, I'm Jared Sorello. Lee County has settled for $50,000 in a case of a Texas man that claimed he was being censored by the sheriff's office. Jason Sanchez sued Lee County and its commissioners, claiming his civil rights were violated under the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Sanchez, a former Eddy County resident, and maintains a Facebook page called Eddy and Lee County Exposed. He claims to expose hypocrisy and corruption within local government agencies. Comments that Sanchez posted to the Lee County Sheriff's Facebook page were routinely deleted, and he was blocked by administrators of the Lee County social media sites. Lee County Manager Corey Needham has since enacted a new policy that prohibits all comments on all social media messages. A new report by state economists contends that it could take up to a decade to clean up abandoned oil and gas wells in New Mexico, while the state is forced to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to fix the problem. Environmentalists claim the abandoned wells leach chemicals into the land and the air and risk public health if not remediated. While operators do pay into a state fund when wells are initially drilled, the report says that amount typically does not cover the full expense to plug a well. You're up to date. I'm Jared Sorello.
At Martine's Capital Cafe, come in and enjoy a delicious variety for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Try our burritos, huevos rancheros, asado, chorizo, sausage, flantas, fajitas, chili rellenos, quesadillas, enchiladas, sopapillas, and don't forget their award-winning green chili cheeseburger and so much more. Everything is prepared with the finest and freshest ingredients. Martine's Capital Cafe. Quality, value, tradition, and the most delicious New Mexican food since 1989. Open Monday through Saturday from 6 to 8:30 p.m. at 110 West 4th Street in Roswell.
Sure, you can inspect your own roof, get out that rickety ladder, prowl around up there and try to spot the problem until... Or you could call the experts at Do Right Roofing. Do Right Roofing has quality products for any type of roof. They can even install seamless gutters. Do Right Roofing will inspect your roof and give you a free estimate fast. Keep your feet on the ground. Call Do Right Roofing today.
575-623-2273. Let Do Right do your roof right.
Find them fast in names and numbers.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. China has more English speakers than the United States. They have